Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 31 of Third Man In, brought to you by Head Check Health. I am Mike Hickey, and very shortly I will be joined by Mr. Terry Ryan. And this week, our guest, Jeremy Charles. Chuck can't be in the studio today, but Jeremy joined us, and it's a fantastic interview, but he happened to be in the room with us from go. So while we started with an interview, and we're planning to kind of come back the way we often do and kind of record a bit of a preamble, we just went from the interview straight into all of our hockey talk at the end of the episode, and I figured I'd come on real quick and explain to you what was happening. So without further ado, we'll take a quick word from our sponsor, Head Check Health, and then we'll be right back with our guest, Jeremy Charles. Concussions are serious. Whether you're a concerned parent, a coach, a risk manager, an executive, or especially a player, they're a major area of concern. Head Check Health has developed software and services that improve the way concussions are assessed, tracked, and managed at all levels of sport. Their goal is to create a safer environment of play by giving better tools to the people responsible for documenting and assessing concussions, as well as providing better data to administrators to make real health and safety improvements. HeadCheck currently works with the Canadian Junior Hockey League, BC Hockey, Rugby Ontario, the Western Lacrosse Association, and more to advance concussion management practices. If you're interested in learning more about how HeadCheck can help your team or organization, please visit headcheckhealth.com or email info@headcheckhealth.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the former Super Sweet Feeder, Mount Pearl Golfer, Mount Pearl Blade, Ghouls Pacer, Port Colborne Kinsman, provincial champ, Atlantic champ in both soccer and hockey, captain of Team Newfoundland in the 1994 Canada Summer Games Soccer Edition. Also, his Atlantica and Raymond's restaurants, both rated #1 in Canada by En Route magazine at least once in the last 10 years. Hosted Anthony Bourdain and Parts Unknown just a couple of years ago, one of Anthony's last stops. Has a brand new book called The Wildness, which is already a bestseller and a big-time hit worldwide. Is an innovator largely responsible for the current culinary explosion here in Newfoundland. He has been flown halfway across the planet just to cook a meal. He is an amazing athlete, a shrewd chef, a fabulous food maker, a scintillating soccer player, a noble Newfoundlander, a fantastic father, a harmonious husband, an unbelievable uncle, blissful brother, a bodacious buddy, a perfect pal, a kind companion, also known as Gonzo or Taz, the cross-continental culinary king, ladies and gentlemen, Jeremy Charles.
Oh, wow. You're getting better at these, man. That one's going to be hard to top.
And that's about it, ladies and gentlemen.
We're out of time.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming in, JC.
No sweat.
Good to see you. So, ladies and gents out there, Jeremy and I, Jeremy's a buddy. I guess, you know what? We'll start with this. Because I guess explaining our history more so than any guest I've had on is kind of essential. So Jeremy and I grew up together. We're born the same year, 1977. I'll get to his questions in a second. I always cut the guests off and go on for like fucking 10 minutes, but this is necessity. If you weren't in the studio, I'd just do this before we called you. And so we grew up in Mount Pearl together. In Newfoundland, for those that don't know that. You know, we played sports together all the time. Jeremy and I were together literally 7 days a week. Normally, he slept over at my place. You know, we played hockey. You know, I loved soccer. I ended up having a great minor soccer career. We won the Atlantics in under 16. I would never have even played if it wasn't for Jeremy. We met playing ice hockey when we were about 7 years old. Knew of each other at 5 or 6 on one of those novice teams. And to be honest with you, neither one of us made the All-Star team. We were a couple of years before that even happened, and I truly believe, because my father coached the junior team and we were always around, we always had ice time, that we just improved. But we didn't meet because we were star athletes. It was quite the opposite. And we were both a little bit different, me going to school in St. John's at the time and St. Bon's, and Jeremy also went to, what was the school you went to?
St. Joseph's.
St. Joseph's. So a little bit outsiders, but we were, in Mount Pearl, it's hard not to be part of the community if you're involved at all. But then anyway, the interesting part is that I got drafted to the Montreal Canadiens. Jeremy went to play a bit of Junior B in Port Colborne and didn't really like it, so he came home and was going to school and doing a few other things, and then decided to move to Montreal. And Jeremy always would be he was a very culinary kid, for lack of a better word. I didn't have any idea growing up. I don't know when you decided it, Jeremy. We'll get to that in a bit. when he decided to be a chef. But, you know, I was just pumped that he was coming to Montreal because in 96, 97, I made Montreal. I was there. I was 19 though, right? So I only played 3 games, but I remember them saying to me that they'd rather me practice at least for most of the year, which is what happened in the NHL than playing junior because they thought I'd learn more. So I was kind of alone. Not kind of. I really was. There was no one else my age on the team. And Jeremy happened to have moved up. So Jeremy ends up, you know, going to culinary school, but he met Shane Corson, who had a restaurant called Shane's. And that, I believe that's where you first started working, right? That was your first culinary job, Jeremy?
Yeah, one of the, yeah.
And
sure.
It's a long introduction, but people should know this. And then I guess, you know, shortly after, it's funny, I ended up getting sent down, but Jeremy stayed up and really honed his craft. Amongst other things, had a retreat kind of up north. Mr. Molson, who owned the team, there was a Molson Center at the time, not the Bell Center. And Jeremy met, you know, yada, yada, yada. He met a guy, Sam, what was his last name, Jeremy? Chapman from Chicago, and brought Jeremy down.
Not the same Sam Chapman. That was my grade 8 homeroom teacher.
No.
No?
No.
Different Sam Chapman. Okay, cool. Copy. Just trying to keep up.
Imagine if he said yes. So anyway, now that led to right now, Jeremy just traveled the world really, you know, honing his craft, gaining experience, and came back here about 10 years ago now, and a little more, and started Atlantica, which was down in Portugal Cove, about 20 minutes outside of St. John's, and that ended up being rated the #1 restaurant in Canada, new restaurant by En Route magazine, which brings us to today, Raymond's and Merchant Tavern downtown. Raymond's has, you know, fine dining, and largely regarded as one of the best restaurants in the world, because these things are subjective, but you can honestly say one of by most critics. And Merchant Tavern is just awesome. It's at the heart of St. John's. My wife works there, Danielle. Just it's almost like great food and everything, just a little bit more of a open atmosphere. Kind of you go there and you know you feel at home. So anyway, here we are in 42 years after 1977.
And since we started this introduction.
Well, it's one thing to introduce, but people should know that, because I often would go, oh yeah, that time when Jeremy was in Montreal, and people go, what the fuck are you talking about? He just happened to be there, but that's it. Jeremy, he didn't come, again, don't get me wrong. A lot of times I tell the story and people think that I got him to Montreal and got him in with Corson. That wasn't the case. But we just happened, being best buddies, to end up in Montreal. And then, you know, of course, I met his friends and he met mine. It just so happens that mine were on the Montreal Canadiens and in high places. And fucking the next year I'm sent down to Fredericton. Anyway, we'll get into all that. But that's where we're going to start. So Jeremy and I grew up. I don't fucking think when we met, I really thought that I would end up anything in hockey. And I don't think he was thinking a life in the culinary arts. Jeremy, maybe I'm wrong. So when did we meet? What year? Were we 7 years old? Was it that year we played on Super Suite?
I think so. Maybe I played on Humpty Dumpty.
You were on Humpty Dumpty.
I think so.
Yeah. Maybe so.
Or no, it was Esso or
something like that. For a few years, we weren't on the All-Star team. It wasn't what people, because we ended up, like I said, we had a very, very successful, like my 2 years or 4 years, I guess, Adam and PeeWee, and then I left, but the boys kept going. Like we won. One year we won every single game. We didn't lose one. So, and you know,
that is not something I've ever experienced with any hockey team I've ever been on. Mainly because they're the teams that pick me to play for them. So it says a lot about the caliber of hockey. But
no, JC, when, like, in our worst year, how many games do you think we lost? 5?
Maximum.
Yeah, in our worst year, and I'm counting. You know, I'm talking about 4 major years that I was here playing All-Star. So I don't even have any questions queued up. But so to come from that, I guess I was unaware, and you were going to get into hockey, but, you know, with the whole culinary thing, I remember you making chicken tetrazzini when we were younger, and your mom, actually.
Yeah.
So she was a bit of an influence. But how did you even start thinking that? Or at what age did you think you might, you know, we didn't really talk about that much. Did you think you might be a chef?
My God, I never really thought I'd ever be a chef at a young age. But I always spent time in the kitchen with Mom. You know, Mom was a big baker. And Nan and Pop, they always, you know, they cooked traditional foods and grew a garden and, you know, kind of lived off the land. And, you know, I'd always go to Old Perlican, spend summers out there. And
talk about that a little bit. Tell people about Old Perlican.
Yeah, it's a fishing community about 2 hours outside of St. John's in Trinity Bay, and that's where my grandmother's from, and we had a beautiful little salt box out there, so I'd spend my summers out cod fishing. Basically a townie being a bayman for the summer was pretty cool, you know.
Which is kind of, it's kind of a common thing for, you grew up in Mount Pearl as we've established, but I was curious about that like if your grandparents and your parents were your influence that way, like what generation of townie were you? Were you like a first generation townie who went back, spent your summers out there?
Yeah, no, my parents are from town, but my grandparents were huge, and we go down to the wharf, and my grandfather would take a few codfish off a boat, and he'd throw a bottle of rum down in exchange, and we'd come up and fillet the fish, and my grandfather always loved cooking the whole fish, the head, the whole thing, the napes, everything. So it was just and I never really struck me at that point in time how unique and interesting and how important it was to be around that kind of culture, and they just opened my eyes to living off the land. And,
JC, I'll tell you this: I never found any of that real weird. Although that's not in my immediate family. Shouldn't say it's not in my family. I do have Ryans from St. Joseph's that are fishermen. Wasn't part of my everyday life. Put it that way. And it was yours to the point that, honestly, like Salmon Fest, you know about Salmon Fest?
Dude, I'm from Grand Falls.
Yeah. There's this huge
Do I know
Grand
Salmon
Falls.
Fest? Like, my mom worked for the committee for years. I used to, like, just plug around backstage as, like, an 8-year-old. Like,
I'm glad you do. You would have to be pretty unhip to not know Salmon Fest in Grand Falls.
Where have all my friends gone for this one weekend? I can't find anybody. There's no one around.
So the level of party. Well, we would go in our teen years, which are classic years for them. And Jeremy would just go behind the mill and fish the whole time. So I knew that he was into it.
Yeah.
Right? Like it was no trouble to see someone that at like 11 years old can sit there all day and be happy that they rose a salmon once. I mean, in 11 hours is some serious, like, they love fishing. Mm-hmm. But the thing that got me, Jeremy, was early on, you were tying your own flies. How old were you? And I look back now, and maybe we're getting away from that generation, but that still seems odd to me. We would go up and we would always be playing, like, say, Genesis hockey or whatever, and Jeremy would take a break, and I'd play the computer, and he'd tie flies for 2 hours, and then he'd come back. I never really got into it, but it was always going on. When did you start that?
That was, my dad tied flies, so I was like probably 5 or 6. And down in the basement, there was just a place to go and hide, and had all these interesting feathers and hooks and all these different textures. And it's kind of, when I think about it, it kind of reminds me of food. You tie a fly, you make a dish, textures, colors,
presentation.
I always noticed, and there's a level of patience involved, which
definitely.
is also
which you don't have.
No. I have none.
Yeah,
to the point that Jeremy was such a good chef and so patient and so stylish. She would always, I'd just go grab something off the shelf, and Jeremy would really take time to figure out. Jeremy was wearing, like, really taking chances, wearing like pink button-up shirts with deck shoes. He was a bit of a prep, as they would say back in the day, right? Yeah. And it's a good thing he had tough friends, like myself.
I could just run fast.
But
I can imagine, like, mid 90s in Newfoundland to get away with some of that stuff. I would assume that, like, you got to have a guy next to you who's willing to go up against Ty Domi to really feel confident.
I'll tell you in a second, because more than once. Remember the one time you called me down to your school, Jeremy? Holy shit. Now, the thing is, I will explain this before we start. I went to Mary Queen of the World. In Mount Pearl, there are a few schools.
Mary Queen of the World's the one where I have to, like, slow down when I'm coming down Topsail Road. Right?
Yeah.
That one?
And technically you got to slow down, but you'd also have to slow down because there'd be...
I said the one I'm supposed to slow down when I drive past on Topsail Road.
Yeah. And, usually you'd speed up because rocks would be coming at you. So of the Mount Pearl schools, I don't want to knock any school, but that was definitely the toughest. Now, what do you it symbolized the toughest, okay? I'm not going out on a limb when I say it. I'm not saying I hate or I don't like the people or my students. They were good friends. I played sports for the school with pride. I represented it everywhere with pride. But of the schools in Mount Pearl, it was, when I say tough, I mean, say St. Peter's, there was Mount Pearl Junior High. Those had, like, all kinds of... Mount Pearl Blades is the hockey team.
Yeah.
Right? So I was the only person in my grade to play on the blades, and there was. We had all the kids off the hill. The hill in Mount Pearl is it's a tough section of town. Again, for various reasons, but it's just a lot of tough people. So I mean, like I was in a lot of fights. And Jeremy, remember? I mean, crazy stuff, guys. Remember Jason Fitz when he went out and took a shit in the middle of the fucking road?
I do. Yeah.
They're for real. Like he'd just go, you know what? Fuck this. And he this was like grade 7, dude. And he just went out in the middle of Commonwealth Avenue, traffic going everywhere, Mount Pearl, right downtown Mount Pearl if there is a thing. But that's it. He goes, watch this. And he just took a shit on the yellow line.
On the middle of Commonwealth.
Right on the middle of Commonwealth. Oh, yeah. Like I remember him starting to fit. Another guy, Mike Bradbury, went to school with. I don't mind name dropping because the boys were buddies. Like I had to stay on their good side, and I did. For the most part, I got in it with Fitz a couple times. People called him Googs. He had like eyes that look crazy. They call them Googs. But yeah, I mean, there was fights like that. So every year, and I was up a grade, so I skipped grade kindergarten. So, and a lot of people in Mary Queen of the World had failed a grade. So, and that's real again.
So you're 2 years younger than everyone else in your class,
basically. So, and I was as big though. Right?
Okay.
So I didn't really want. And I would never really say no. Like I wouldn't start any fights, but I didn't like bullies. So Jeremy had a bully. I can't remember. You don't even have to say his name, Jeremy, because you probably still think he'll going to jump through your window at night. But I came down to take care of business, and I fucking slapped him in the face. I slapped the crackers out of his hand, and he didn't say anything. All I did was call his bluff. What was it? That was when you were at St. Joseph's. Can you remember that day? Maybe you should talk about it.
No.
That's your interview.
No, I do. I can't believe we're here. But, yeah, that was a very memorable day. But yeah, Tierra came down, you know.
Like to save the day, and like all the girls were in the corner, like, is this the day that it's going to happen? And I just showed up. You guys were playing volleyball, co-ed volleyball after school. Yeah. And you kind of had a couple of hot girls, so I would love any invitation.
What age are you guys at this point?
Grade 7.
Grade 7, okay.
Cool. 6, 12, 11, 12. Around there.
All right.
But I would love the invite to come down with Jeremy because there was a posh association. Jeremy went to French immersion at St. Joseph's, which is a feeder into Holy Heart. Right, there was a level of not mystique, but there was a certain
je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, there was a feather in your hat if you were going into Holy Heart at the time. I'm sure now it's the biggest school in Newfoundland, first of all, but. There was a prestige, that's the word, associated with any French immersion, and St. Joseph's and Holy Heart. Although, like I said, there was a lot of tough kids. And, back then, just a lot of people fought more. But anyway, I went down. Jeremy called me down. Mark Fleming was there, one of our rivals in St. John's soccer. Anyway, this guy just kept chirping. So I slapped him right in the face. He had crackers there. I said, are you going to fucking say anything or just stand there and stare at me? Let's just get this done. And finally, you could just see the girls, Alicia, Kate was there, Alicia, and
oh my God,
girl from Shea Heights, can't remember her name. Okay. But anyway, that sort of thing would happen quite frequently. Mm-hmm. And then it also, Jeremy, I guess you can talk about our experience in minor hockey. We didn't lose many games. Jeremy, you were a defenseman that ended up going up forward. They called him Taz because he would just skate around the ice like a madman. I guess what would be your best or craziest memory from that time? I wouldn't even know where to begin. We were also knocking around with some tough dudes, right? Anything goes here, Jeremy. No pressure.
Yeah, no, I mean, hockey-wise, I mean, we had so many great memories. We were, Hostess Cups. There's
Quebec PeeWee tournament.
Quebec PeeWee tournament. Remember that? Going to the Colisée and...
Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, that tournament was unbelievable. I mean, PeeWee tournament in Quebec... teams from all around the world.
150 teams.
Yeah, you go through the book now, the booklet, and the players that went there were unbelievable.
Can you remember when you and I watched Jeff O'Neill?
Yeah, that's right.
So Jeremy, we would collect. It's a big for pins too, right? When I say like they collect pins, there's not like the size of your fucking head with like 140 backs on them. Like there were big ass pins from all over, and I really, really got into it. Some I could have got into, but in Newfoundland, being a bit isolated, unless the internet didn't, I'm sure it existed, but we didn't know anything about it. It wasn't an everyday thing. So now, having known that, if you could if we could like order online and stuff, I would have done it because we collected a lot, Jeremy. Remember, we filled up a full towel.
I remember like my thing of is like you guys are playing in the Quebec PeeWee tournament, and my thing was reading those Screeching Owls books. Like, remember those where like it was a book series when we were kids that was about a minor hockey team from I think they were from Lake Placid. And they would just like travel all over. And there's a whole book about them going to the PeeWee tournament and reading about the pins and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like 10 years old being like, wait, I'm 2 years away from being the right age for this, but we'll never get anywhere near it.
Well, that was a good thing about minor hockey in Mount Pearl.
Yeah.
If you made the All-Star team, you automatically got a trip.
That's great.
People don't realize in you know, people that I played pro with away, and they take for granted a lot of the time the situation they're in. Mm-hmm. They can go, well, I only played AA in Toronto. Okay, dude, but you're like traveling. It's an hour and a half to Pittsburgh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
New York's a few hours. Like, for us, you know, there's no competition on the, well, I shouldn't say that. There's only the ONS competition. But
2 hours to Old Perlican.
We won the All Newfoundland, dude, 16-0.
That's
my second year. And we wouldn't, that's the year we didn't lose one game in the province. And like, so it becomes, you're not even really sure what it's like to play other teams. You don't even, so to see anybody that's like, and you don't come across anybody. Newfoundland at the time, none of us thought we were going to make the NHL. None of us. But we go up, Jeremy, and can you remember we came down over the stairs? I just got that big Pittsburgh pin. We were pumped. It was like a Gretzky rookie having the Pittsburgh. Remember with the American flag and the Canadian flag on it?
Yeah.
And we sat down. And it was the Richmond Hill Kings coming out, black and silver, just like the L.A. I'll never forget it. Yeah. And this guy, Jeff O'Neill, they were talking about him. I said, okay, let's see what this guy got. I mean, I knew I was pretty good. We were first years. And to be honest with you, I think our best player that year would have been Sean Gibbons, I would have said. I was in the running, but he was a great player his second year. And this O'Neill just absolutely like knife through butter like 5 times in a row, playing like, and there's all these different divisions. We were in International B, and they were in like the International A division, and he was incredible, Jeremy. Watching him and the reaction, and what would happen was, if you lost a game, you would have to go to the consolation round. And your games weren't in the Colisée anymore. But as long as you kept winning, the games were in the Colisée.
Okay.
So our second year, Jeremy, we went back. What was it? We lost, or it was like 2-on-2. Yeah, overtime happens.
You played Switzerland, I think, was it?
We played Switzerland.
Yeah.
And
triple overtime, and somebody got a penalty, so it's 3-on-2 or something?
It was 3-on-2. What happens is each overtime you lose a player. Each team loses a player. So if it's triple overtime, it's literally 2-on-2.
That's cracked.
I know. So you'd have like, the coach would look down the bench and like, what do you even do? How do you even get ready for this? So you might have...
but it's still better than a fucking shootout, even though it turns into one by quadruple overtime.
When there's a penalty, instead of take a person off, they add a player for the other team. So we lost on a 3-on-2 power play.
That was our third or fourth game, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah. And as the games go on, after the first game, there's more and more people. So that game was like 10,000 people there. The first game was like a first day on a Monday. It's like, you might get 50 people. Second game, they won their first game. You see 700. Third game, you're getting 3,000 or 4,000, and if you make it to that fourth or fifth game, then it's almost a full Colisée.
It's all just like word of mouth hype around any team that's picking up momentum.
And scouts are there, obviously, too. I mean, it's big for that.
Yeah. Remember, we just didn't believe that there would be scouts there, but there was all kinds of scouts. And you know what, Jeremy? So that there was scouts there, and one guy gave that. That's how I ended up going to Tri-Cities, right?
Right. Yeah.
And the next year, I left. And Jeremy, you stayed behind. Now, you ended up going to Port Colborne, not for a long time. I know it wasn't for you. Yeah. But you did get scouted to leave the island. That's something big, especially at that time, because the scouts weren't here regularly like they are now. Yeah. How was that leaving? I know that we talked on the phone. I know because I know my situation. I knew I was going to be, I'm not going to say a star because I didn't know that, but I knew, I knew that I was a prospect. Yeah. When I was going to junior, I was kind of nervous for all these different reasons, and I went at 14. You're a couple years later. You went with Gary Clark, our buddy. Yeah. What was the experience like? I mean, I know that
living with Clarky.
Yeah, I mean, like leaving.
Do you really want to know?
How was it?
No, it was pretty exciting at the time. I mean, you're still pretty young, and to move to Ontario was always, I think, playing hockey here was the dream to get to the OHL or the Cube. So, you know, it was.
And you were in the Golden Horseshoe League, right?
Yeah, the Golden Horseshoe. And, you know, I was, 15, 16, playing with, 19-year-olds and Clark.
Yeah, but you were skinny. You were a rocket. Still one of the fastest players I've seen. And to this day, if we were to, honestly, you can still skate faster than I can. But
I don't know about that. But yeah.
I think so. You kept the stride. Nothing else now. In by the net, your total cement hands. Like just, there's no idea from the top of the circle in. But until that, man, he'll get you there and killing penalties. There was a benefit to having you on the team for sure, and a total team guy. But that experience, so you go away, you play a little bit, Junior B in Ontario, which, again, for someone from here it's always a bit magical just to leave. I think if you're from Welland or Port Colborne or even Toronto and you drive a couple hours, it doesn't have the same panache about it.
For sure.
But unfortunately, you broke your hand, you come back.
That's my collarbone, or separated my shoulder.
Yeah. So then, what was it? Business you were doing?
Well, I came back and went to high school. Finished high school here.
Oh, you finished high school.
And then moved to Montreal after first year university. And again, having the French immersion, I was able to work in Montreal and all that kind of good stuff. So,
but now, I mean, it's easy to say this years ago, but when you went to Montreal, you went in, you started working at Shane's restaurant. What point, though, I really should know this, but at what point did you really say, okay, I'm going to be a chef, I'm going to deal with food for the rest of my life?
Yeah, I mean, when I was here in Newfoundland, I worked at the bakery and
Mana Bakery.
Mana, and I always enjoyed being around food and again working my hands, and again being in Montreal. When I went to culinary school, I just knew from day one, I was like, yeah, man, I really love the energy and the creativity and just the endless possibilities to create food, and I just wanted to learn, And
do you ever get back to Montreal?
I go all the time. Not all the time, but like 2 or 3 times a year.
And now that we've been world travel, because at the time, man, so, like I said, I went away to play hockey. I went to Quesnel, then Tri-Cities, then Montreal. Jeremy went to Port
We know
Colborne.
all the Carey Price stops.
Yeah, exactly. Jeremy was in Port Colborne, like Welland area, came back home again, and then went. So at the time, again, I'm living in Montreal. We're both 19. We had no idea just a year before that we'd end up there. It was like for 2 buddies from Mount Pearl. It was so random and awesome, but we'd never been to any other cities really. So we loved Montreal, but I think I would have loved Houston as much, or Roanoke, or wherever the hell it was, because you're growing up, you're coming of age with your buddies, one thing, but it was just a different life going from kid to adult, let alone city to city. Now, having been all over, do you still look the same at Montreal with the same affection?
I do. I love Montreal as a magical place. I think it's one of the best cities in North America, hands down.
And for what reasons?
Just for the culture, obviously the food, the people, the joie de vie. And, we got so many wonderful friends here and wonderful memories, for the most part.
Do you go back to Chicago or Montreal much? How long did you live in Chicago? And that was a stop right after Montreal for...
Yeah, I get back to Chicago usually once a year. And again, I got some wonderful friends there. I spent 5 years in Chicago. And again, I think it's an underrated city, everyone thinks of New York and LA, but Chicago's got it all, like the city.
Did you go to... I know the answer, but for the people out there, did you go to more White Sox or Cubby games?
I love the Cubs, but the Sox won the World Series when I was there, which we had.
Here's the thing. No one talks about this. Everyone talks about how the Cubs had this insane drought. The White Sox hadn't won since 1917 when they won, 2005?
Yeah.
I think it was.
Yeah.
It was 87, it was 88 years or whatever. Like, that's insanity. And no one brings it up because the Cubs went slightly longer. Like, it's cracked. Yeah. And I mean, the Blackhawks hadn't won years. Like, the city was like going through a serious championship drought.
Yeah.
And the White Sox broke it, and no one talks about it.
Yeah, the Hawks were bad, but
the Hawks. You had left when the Hawks won, right?
Yeah, I did.
By a few years.
Yeah, but I really.
Did you go to a lot of games?
I went to a ton of baseball games. I really learned about baseball. Like I watched it. I loved the Blue Jays back in the day, but I really never understood baseball until I sat at Wrigley Field, eating peanuts and crushing Chicago dogs.
My favorite part of that, my favorite part is where across the street there's a couple of buildings and they have the seats on the roof.
Yeah, the rooftop.
I just love it.
Yeah.
And I had to go there. We and myself and Blair Connolly talked our way up there one day. Then we were down for your stag, actually.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
What a time that was.
The boss.
Did you go to many Blackhawks games?
I went to not as many as I would hope because I was cooking in the evenings a lot, but I did go to a number of games. And it's a great barn, too. Like, great fans and great atmosphere. And it was, it was really cool.
Talking about, like, you said you kind of got your start here in town working at Manna. Was kind of your, like, other than like being in the kitchen with your mom or your grandma or whatever, that was really your first culinary experience. But cooking is a much different thing than baking. And you talked about kind of the creativity being the draw. Is that what kind of took you away from baking and into more of the non-baking culinary space?
Yeah, no, bakers are a different breed for sure. It's amazing, it's a lot of recipes and whatnot. But I really do love baking. But yeah, cooking is more, a little bit more freedom, I guess you'd say, so to speak. And
I think you like the process of cooking, and I mean right from hunting or fishing or foraging. Or I could be wrong. Am I putting words in your mouth?
No.
It just seems to me you're happiest when you're at one with nature.
Yeah, well, you live in Newfoundland, I think, if you don't like being outside, there's a problem. And I just love, I had a wonderful journey of traveling around, again, in Montreal and Chicago and stuff, but it's so nice to be home and to be able to walk in the woods and pick some mushrooms or,
Get all fucked up.
Chanterelles, that is. Or, take your fly rod and, my son's 8 years old and he loves fishing and just to be able to be with him and we can, 5 minutes you're on a river somewhere or out in a boat jigging a cod, or this time of year we're getting ready to go hunt moose and rabbits and partridge. It's a magical place, and you kind of take that for granted years ago, but now you just really realize how special a place we live in and how fortunate we are. So that's cool.
It's something where for years it seemed like there, in terms of like kind of the mainstream part of Newfoundland culture seemed to be kind of drifting away from that sort of stuff. And you and Todd Perrin and some other people that have kind of brought about the Newfoundland kind of culinary scene the way it is now have really kind of brought back a sense of pride in that kind of accessibility of the land and hunting and fishing and doing all these things. Like, how does it feel to be kind of an ambassador for culture that way?
No, it's amazing. The last, been home close to 15 years now, and to be able to celebrate and showcase Newfoundland ingredients on a fine dining level, so to speak, and to get recognized, across the country and around the world for what we're doing is super cool. And it's all about going back to our roots, going back to growing vegetables and picking berries and living off the land. And, we're one of the only places in North America allowed to serve wild game. So we have a really unique opportunity, people.
Why is that?
It's been like that.
I mean,
forever.
why is it so hard to get a license to serve wild game?
Well, in the rest of Canada, it's not allowed. So it's.
Is there a reason? I would think you would want to promote,
it's a regulatory thing, right? It's just about.
Yeah, it's kind of grandfathered in there. It's been like that for generations. So it's. I'm just really happy that it still exists because again, nowhere else in Canada you're able to do that. And for us, it's all about when you come to the Raymonds, especially, it's all about tasting the lay of the land, tasting the terroir. How can you, taste the land if you can't eat moose and stuff like that? So it's amazing to be able to sit people down and tell them where their food's coming from, and they really get a true sense of place and true sense of terroir. So it's we're really fortunate about that.
Was that the goal? When you were in Chicago, did you start thinking, like, was that the goal to come back here and, well, to do what you're doing now?
Yeah, I mean, I loved to get my time away, and eventually, I think like all Newfoundlanders, everybody wants to come home at some point, and I wanted to get back, and was fortunate to have opportunities, but it kind of evolved, and years ago, we wanted to have all these ingredients from outside the province, truffles and foie gras, and, everything from outside of our province, and now it's all about embracing what we have and celebrating what we have and showcasing to people all the unique ingredients. So it's it's really cool.
And I think that's something that's kind of it seems anyway that's something that's very specific to the landscape of kind of the restaurant scene here and all that, because I think there's still kind of a predilection for Newfoundlanders to kind of want that outside influence in whether it's if a band comes from away, people are more likely to see them than the local bands that are kind of hustling downtown. Like, it's that sort of thing where if it's bands, if it's movies, if it's this, if it's that, there's different aspects of cultures where people always kind of want here. They always kind of think that something's better if it comes from away. However,
that's how we grew up.
Yeah, but
they're numb to it.
But I think food is one area where we've kind of reclaimed that bit of our own identity and self, and it's again something that's really only happened over the last 10 or 15 years since you got back. Basically,
I think we're talking to them with respect to everybody else, and I think you mentioned a great name, Todd Perrin. Fuck, what a guy, and I could go down a long list, and I really don't want to leave anybody out, but I'd have to put Jeremy at the top of that list, just knowing when it happened, how it happened, what kind of food was served. How much of an impact it had on a world level, on an international, international level. And I know you're sitting next to me, and you certainly don't like that. You don't.
I've never seen someone look so uncomfortable in a chair next to you, and I've seen a lot of people look really uncomfortable.
Well, which brings me to the next point. Because you really should, that should be well known. If it's not, I like to tell everybody, because Jeremy just had a book come out. It's called The Wildness. Okay, so you're going to have to get better at self-promotion if you want to sell these things, because I have a nice little tidy Canadian hockey book that did pretty well on a local internet or national level. Sold a few copies internationally, but those who are very, very, very specific crowd would read my book. Everybody likes to eat, and we're in an age that the culinary industry, whether it's due to TV shows, which is really taken off, the Food Network, for example, anything on there, all those kind of things, songs, whatever it is. And in a lot of, when I say songs, a lot of Newfoundland traditional songs have food mentioned, of course, right? And each place on earth has their own culture and heritage when it comes to food. So, given the time that we're in, I suppose, and Jeremy and everything that he did, and the perfect storm of bringing food to Newfoundland, with people took interest. Jeremy, what's the book company you're with again?
Fidon.
And isn't your book their only Canadian?
It's the first time they've worked with Canadian.
Okay.
Chef. Yeah, it's first cookbook.
The book is something. Jeremy, what does the book retail for here? If I was going to go to chapters,
excuse me, it's $60. Yeah?
$60. It's a big deal. It's a big book. And it combines everything. You talk about it.
What there is I've picked up a copy of the book.
Thank you.
Well, I bought it from you. Remember? It was I went down to I messaged you, found out swing down to the restaurant and pick one up, and it does have. There's a production value to the book. It's not
value. Thank you.
It's the feel of the book. There's just tangibly, not even count, obviously the content of the book is worth the money, but when you pick it up, you kind of get it. The price point makes sense.
Totally.
Unlike a lot of $60 books I've held in my hands,
No, this is well worth it. It'll give you it gives context to the whole idea of Newfoundland and its foodways. It doesn't just, it's not just a recipe book, is my point.
No, it's not.
Right? It's the furthest thing from a recipe book, although you will find that sort of thing in there. But this is, you talk about it. You're passionate about it.
Yeah.
When did the book come into play, and, are you happy with the finished product?
Yeah, I worked on the book for about 2 years. I had a project before this book, and kind of went south a little bit. I'm like, I'll never do a cookbook again, or at least attempt it. And I got an email from Fidon saying, we'd love to do a cookbook. I'm like, I thought it was one of these jokes, because they're like the biggest of the big. And I was like, oh my God, what an amazing opportunity. And so, we worked on it for 2 years, myself and John Cullen, the photographer, and Adam Goldner. And it took a lot. It was very, very stressful. and I've seen amount of work. But when we got it done, I gotta say I'm really really happy about it, and it's more like you're saying, it's more than just a cookbook. It's the stories behind the food, the people behind the food. You know, and I always say, you know, you're only as good as your product, and when you have amazing product coming to the back door, and you have people who are, you know, jumping in the ocean and running around the woods for you, it's pretty amazing, you know. And
well, honestly, Jeremy, after reading most books that I've read, I would think, you know, a lot of times you get to know about the person. If you're lucky, you get to know the person a little bit. With yours, you get to know a whole culture. It's wild. It's almost at times gives me goosebumps being a Newfoundlander. And you know, the book came out. What was the release date, Jeremy? Just a few months ago.
I think it was June.
Well timed, because a year and a half ago, Anthony Bourdain. So talk about that. So I mean, most people out there have heard of Anthony Bourdain, Parts Unknown. They know the unfortunate tragedy involved. Well, just a couple weeks before Mr. Bourdain unfortunately left us, he came to Newfoundland to do Parts Unknown with Jeremy Charles, Jeremy Bonia, and the guys at Merchant and Raymond's. Tell us about it.
Yeah, that was pretty magical time. Obviously very stressful, you know. It's one thing to host a chef or whatever at the restaurant, but to have Anthony Bourdain come to the restaurant, and
so you were actually nervous, even being yourself.
Yeah, I
mean, I just can't imagine. I mean, he was one of the biggest celebrities in the world, still kind of is.
I don't get nervous. Well, I should say nervous, but awestruck. But I was, it's pretty intense. And we were taking a moose hunting out in Central, and we do an event dinner for Levi. We had that on the 22nd. He arrived on the 23rd. So the next morning we had to pack up shop and head into Buckins, which is like, I don't know if you've ever been to Buckins.
My wife's from Buckins. I go several times a year. Yeah,
it's a long haul, right?
Yeah.
And we got in there and set up camp and started putting everything together. And he was here for almost 2 weeks actually with us. So we were doing a lot of things again in the woods, and we went out cod fishing and obviously cooked at the restaurant, and it was crazy.
When you guys got out there in Buckins and you had to set up camp, did Bourdain ever let his guard down? But I mean that in a good way. Like, did he ever open up and, you know, you can tell when someone's being their TV self. And then
off screen he was super chill and very witty, very intelligent, like a really smart guy, and really really funny jokes, and obviously he's traveled the world, and he's been everywhere, and but he was super nice, super chill, and people always ask me, did you ever sense there was something wrong or whatever? But I mean, for me, he was lovely, and had a few nips in the evening, and
like
we're driving along on a side by side for several hours. He was just smoking cigs, and we were just talking about the cookbook, actually, how to promote it, and what I should do when it comes out, and which was really kind, and I appreciated that. And but he really enjoyed Newfoundland. He loved the simplicity. He loved the people. Just the ruggedness, and I think he loved the quiet. Wherever he went, obviously he stirs the pot. So it was. I think he loved just the downtime, being able to hide in places, and it was. I think he embraced the island for sure.
It's always something you kind of hear about here, that when people, especially people who are kind of notoriously big deals everywhere, come here, it's still kind of a relatively chill place. Like people will approach you and say like, "Hey, Mr. Bourdain," or you guys know Momoa, and people kind of freak out about him, but like it's not the same level here. Like people are kind of
a little bit more respectful, and not so, I guess, awestruck.
Well, we don't want to scare people away, I think is what it is. It's like if you get somebody that's a big deal coming here, you want to like give a good impression and not just bug them till they leave.
And both can happen. I think here, for the most part, we're pretty good about that stuff. But it's like anything. It's Anthony fucking Bourdain. It's like Jason Momoa when he comes. Jeremy, we'll talk about that in a second. But no matter what, it's still Jason Momoa. It's still Anthony Bourdain. I don't get awestruck much either, or starstruck. But damned if I wasn't open-eyed and drooling when I was, I was there. I didn't actually get to meet him. I came down to Merchant when he was there. So I actually and I wanted to. It just wasn't the right time. But I was even nervous.
But I remember waking up, a few days after the show was aired, and my buddy sent me a text. You hear the news about Bourdain? I'm like,
unbelievable.
I didn't believe it. I was like, come on, there must be something.
Because it was like the episode aired like I think Sunday night, and then it was like Tuesday or Wednesday that week.
Something
wasn't it?
foolish,
something
like that,
ridiculously close. Yeah,
I watched the show once. I haven't been able to watch it since. It was
I
just
can
like,
imagine. Yeah,
I watched it a couple times. It's great. But the thing is, what I was happy about is that he's genuine, because a lot of times you hear about, you almost don't want to learn about some of your idols. Not that he was an idol, but I really respected the guy. I mean, just watch that show. Look at the places he's going, the knowledge that he's absorbing, the experiences that he's having, and that's an education. And it's impossible not to be open-minded if you travel that much and share people's culture. I often said, if everybody could walk in his shoes, I think a lot more people would have compassion for their fellow man or woman. Yeah. Because, again, if you visit so many cultures and, you learn to be tolerant and not only tolerant, but embracing. And to me, so Anthony Bourdain and the show he had is underrated from the point of view of bringing people together.
Yeah.
It's like, they say a smile is an international language. Well, so is Parts Unknown. You can honestly relate to everybody watching that show
it was
in one way or another. So this leads me to our next question, Jeremy. Ronald Reagan is often credited with the fall of communism. Is this justified?
I was hoping you'd ask that question. Where do I begin?
No, I'm kidding. But the real question is there intelligent life out there?
Well, it's not in here. So.
It's not on 45 Park Avenue. I know that. Down in the dungeon.
So next we're going to talk about, so when Jeremy started working at Shane's in Montreal.
Yeah.
This would be 96, 97. Like I said, I was on the team. I only played 3 games all year. But I got 2 tickets to every game, so most of my tickets.
I was waiting for this to come up. Yeah.
Even in the minors, the Habs are still great to me. Like they give. Anytime you're in town, they do their. I go down to the alumni room and use it in the midst of Guy Lafleur and company. I know, but they were always great. Even when I went down to the minors, I called and asked once, and for a lot of these people, money's the bottom line, but. So you get 2 free tickets a game. So even when I wasn't playing, you'd get them. Now, if I didn't use them, they'd go to a veteran, of course. But a lot of times Jeremy was there. But the person that he would go to the game with was Sam Roberts. Now, Sam, if you're in Canada right now, and some international, but definitely if you're in Canada, you know what I'm talking about. Sam's a rock star. But I had never met Sam. But like I said, I had 2 tickets to every game. So Jeremy gets a job at Shane's, in the kitchen. Sam was the bartender.
Yeah.
And Sam, at the time, he asked me one time, we'd go in there after practice or whatever, have a couple beers, whether we're going to go home or the night was going to continue, whatever. Of course, it'd say, let's go to lunch. That usually meant, the day's going to be a blur. The practice in Montreal was really early all the time, so we'd get over there at like noon, so it was awesome, But Sam was the bartender, and the most I remember, Jeremy, of seeing Sam, he played at Hurley's one night, just him and a guitar.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, he's making a living. He's a young kid. He was actually a good hockey player. We skated a couple times playing shinny hockey.
Yeah.
And he was a good play, like real good. Like not at all as I was expecting.
Yeah.
Just small. I don't think he could have gone anywhere with it because at that time, Sam's a lot smaller than he looks on video. But anyway, I leave. I go to Freddie. My path keeps taking me by. I might have been back to Montreal for a game or 2 after that. But like I said, Jeremy becomes a famous chef and Sam a musician, but what the fuck happened? Because I was home, Jeremy, and Brother Down came on TV, and I'm looking at it going, what? First of all, he had long hair and a beard. I'd never seen that. I knew Sam is kind of clean cut, and I didn't even know him to have a band. I just knew him to be Sam Roberts.
Yeah.
So you were with him that whole time? Like that must have been next level.
Yeah. After work, we'd leave courses and go to the jam sessions or whatever, we go to these places and he'd play. I'm like, my God, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, I remember
I'd
you
sit on the couch
me.
and drink beer, and I was like, Jesus, Sam, I had no idea. And then
I just love that, it's the standard thing of like you have a buddy who's like in a band. He's like, yeah, you want to come see? And you're like, fuck no, Sam, no. Like I got other shit I want to. And it's Sam fucking Roberts, right? Like,
dude, I'm serious. Jeremy sent me. So this is funny too because I just left. And Sam is a friend of mine, not quite as good as a friend of Jeremy, but Sam was there, and I was aware that he was a musician and all this. But if you had told me what happened, I never would have believed it. I mean, there's so many musicians in so many cities, let alone Montreal. Montreal's like St. John's. You know,
How did you know that one of the biggest rock stars of the last 20 years and one of the greatest chefs in Canada were sitting in your wag seats at the fucking Habs game, taking your wives and girlfriends' seats at the Habs game, right?
They were getting my seats. 2 years later, I'm back here 3 years later playing senior hockey, right, for pittance.
And the boys are blown up.
Yeah, Sam literally opened for the Stones in Stars Fest 2002 or 3. So, but the thing is, I had no idea that he was this big. And Jeremy sent me, I don't know if you remember, Jeremy, but he came up with an LP first and only had like 4 or 5 songs on it. Do you remember that?
Right, yeah, because Brother Down and Don't Walk Away Eileen, I think, were on the same EP, and then he put out his record like a year or two after. Yeah.
But the original shit that no one has, he just did his own kind of thing. With, he produced his own album, whatever. And back in the day, that meant most people that was shit. But like, Jeremy sent it to me, and this was before even Brother Down, right before, but it was before. I don't think it was on there. It could have been. But the songs you sent me, I loved, and I was like, "Geez, I can't even believe." And it seemed like I didn't have the words out of my mouth, and I turned on Much Music. It was that summer, and sure enough, he's riding around in the boat, codfishing, or whatever the fuck he's doing, looking like Jesus. And there was this all of a sudden an angelic figure on TV, codfishing again. I'm going, what the hell is this, Sam Roberts? I called Jeremy, but back in the day you had to use the phone, so we were bantering over the phone about all this. But I mean, that must have been wild. So you were there for the birth of Sam Roberts as we know him.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing to see it all come together, obviously. And as you know, Sam, one of the nicest guys you ever meet in your life, and down to earth, and couldn't happen to a nicer dude.
Where's Sam from originally again? Or his family's from? South Africa?
South Africa, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and there's a lot. Sam's layered. There's a lot of info in that brain.
Yeah, he's
also just to note real quick, this episode we're recording on October 1st. It's going to drop tomorrow, which happens to be Sam Roberts' birthday.
Happy birthday, Sam!
Yeah, he'll be 45 tomorrow.
Wow!
Or today. Happy birthday, Sam!
Yeah, thanks for the heads up.
Yeah, you'll text him now and be like, "Oh no, I totally remembered." Don't listen to Third Man In, by the
way. Jeremy, what is time?
I don't know.
Okay,
I actually want to see the notebook because he keeps like referring to his notes to like be like prep for the next question, and I'm curious as if he wrote all the bullshit questions to fuck with you down. Like that's Are they on the paper there?
You'll find out at the end. So you don't know? Fair answer. Okay, that was a quick one. JC, who do you cheer for now? Let's bring it back to hockey. Who do you cheer for? Who's your favorite player in the NHL? What team do you cheer for?
Oh, God. My son Hank is 8. He's loving the Oilers, of course, McDavid and all that kind of stuff.
So it's a McDavid craze.
I support him, but I don't know.
It's like I support him in his bad choices, but
yeah, no, that's a good question. I'm to the point now where I just love watching hockey, and I just want the Cup to come back to Canada, and I'm just like, and that's kind of a bit of a scapegoat, but.
No.
It's nice to go, and I was fortunate last year to go see a few games, and I was in Winnipeg in the depth of winter and freezing cold, but it was great to go. They're so fast, and Jesus, man, the game's unreal. But who do I like? I don't know.
Is there any specific team? I guess so.
So who was your team growing up? That's question.
Well, I did like the Oilers as a kid, obviously Gretzky and Thierry. I love the Habs, and I really.
I was I won't say obsessive, but I was like, there was only one team for me, the Habs. I think you were a little bit all over the map.
Yeah, I was like, I kind of followed Gretzky all over, and then
because that's the thing is like from playing, we played shinny together a few times and stuff. I've always just kind of based on every bit of gear you ever put on. I always kind of assumed you're a Rangers fan.
Yeah, no,
you got the Rangers socks, you got a Rangers jersey. Like I just kind of always assumed you were a Rangers fan.
Yeah, someone gave them to him. Asham sent that to him for free or some shit.
And I also figured that was likely the case as well. Like that he played for somebody and that's just leftover gear.
We had Asham on the show, so Jeremy getting into you're right. Getting into the style and substance. Now we're drinking Mill Street Brewery, but beers, by the way. Mill Street Brewery, one stop downtown St. John's. Come on down. I work there.
You may have heard a couple growlers slam down on the table at some point throughout the recording.
And where did I start that? What was I going to start?
I have no idea.
Ash.
I never know.
Ash.
Oh, Ash, right, Ash.
So Ash, and there was Matt Higgins and Jerry Fleming and a few of the boys. I played within Fredericton and up and down. The boys got a few games in Montreal. And that was it. Like, a lot of us played in Freddie and then, had cups of coffee up in the show, so we'd hang out a lot together and we'd see. So those guys got to know Jeremy because he would be with me a lot. So even the minor league trips, remember the time we went to Quebec City? I won't even say what happened there, for fuck's sakes. But, well, I will. Jeremy had nothing to do with it. I'll tell you after this if you're curious. But the boys thought Jeremy was gay. And the reason, because he had style. And again, I'm talking about Aaron Asham, no offense here, but we were used to like trucker bars and Bud Light or Budweiser. We didn't have much culture other than growing up in Newfoundland. If you want to, I was tied to my roots, but I didn't have, and Jeremy seemed to have that by the time he was 9.
But I get what you're saying, and that especially during the time frame that you're talking about, coming up through hockey culture and from the areas that you're from Asham's from, somebody who's dressing a little, trying to be a little bit more stylish in how they dress and
always
and working at Le Chateau.
Jeremy was 5 steps.
And spending his time in a kitchen. There's a time in the mid-'90s that you're talking about, and basically every other time preceding that, where there were stereotypes and there was assumptions made. And I get where you
definitely.
Guys,
and they would think, and the reason it came out, Jerry Fleming, God love him, he's over coaching in Russia now, I believe, or Germany, one or the other. But we were at dinner. I mean, that was our favorite time, right? Going to dinner with the boys. So it was Ash, and we were up in Montreal, and in Fredericton, we played about, at that time, 10 or 12 games a year, I think. We played in Montreal. We would go up and play like maybe in the afternoon of a Habs game or the day before, whatever it might be. But we played a lot of games in Montreal. So my favorite place to eat up there, well, definitely the most communal place that we ate was called Weinstein and Gavino's. Tortellini rosé, red wine, chicken pizza every goddamn night that we were there.
Creature of habit.
But yeah, exactly. And that's actually, Jeremy, we must have eaten there I don't know how many times. Jeremy would be with us a lot. So one day Jeremy wasn't. And we'd met a guy on our team in Fredericton, came to the bar, Eric Belanger, ended up having maybe a 12-year, 13-year NHL career. Yeah. He was in Fredericton because he was with the LA Kings. That's
right. And it was when you guys had that split weird.
Yeah, exactly. So he happened to come up. So we didn't know each other that well, and Jeremy was, or Jerry was kind of doing the introductions, and he was, in one of his words to describe me was confident. And I remember going, okay, so, but why exactly do you think that? And he said, well, you're this, you're that, whatever he might have said, I don't know, but he said, and you're not afraid at all to just go around solo with a gay guy. And he said, we know you're not gay. You're not afraid of that or anything. And I'm going, what are you talking about? And he said, Jeremy. I said, what the fuck are you talking about? Jeremy's not gay. So he's got his girlfriend. You were going out with Sarah at the time. She came up to Montreal. And I said, no, he's not gay at all. And they're like, well, I'm giving you a compliment. You don't have to. I said, no, I know you're giving me a compliment, but he's not gay. I said, just tell me why you thought he was gay. And Jerry said, well, Jerry said, he's got style. I said, okay, he knows how to cook. I said, yeah. And he said, Jesus, look at the shoes he's wearing. He said, I said,
were you there?
No, he was with us Jeremy was always with us. So the particular day he wasn't, I guess Jerry brought that up. But that was, and again, we're way beyond having to justify every time I mention the word gay, right? Lots of people are gay. It's great. Fucking awesome. I didn't think it was a negative thing. It was just a funny thing that he's not gay. I mean, it is a big part of life, sexual preference, right? It is a big part of life. And I just found it really funny that at the time, I was getting props from my teammates because I was a confident guy that went around with a gay dude. Jeremy, do human beings have free will?
Oh, God. I know you do.
Sure enough.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
How long is the show?
I don't even know how what to go to from here. I mean,
where are we?
You know, let's get back to cooking.
Sure.
Where are we? I guess we're like an hour in, are we?
We're close. We're getting close on an hour in. We've talked about creativity and going back.
What do you mean?
In cooking.
Okay.
We talked about creativity in cooking and getting able to go back to the kind of stuff off the land, particularly here. Is there anything over the course of your career, specifically in Newfoundland, where you've done a dish that way that's really stood out as like, this is the one. This is the signature. This is the one that's gonna, you know, if I was gonna try to like put something on a menu that would be remembered as the thing I created, this is the one.
That's good question. I mean,
it's a bad question. It's a stock question, but like,
what's your signature dish?
Yeah.
So it's I don't know. I mean, I always love working with codfish, and you know, being in Newfoundland, cod has always been king. You know, that's the reason we're here, and I love cooking with fish. But I mean, it's always nice to roast up a nice moose chopper.
Yeah.
You know, partridge. I don't know. I can't really pinpoint one. I do peas pudding agnolotti or ravioli with like a smoked pork broth. It's almost like a Jig's dinner ravioli. It's kind of fun. And
I've been threatening.
I love that, Jeremy. Was I there the first time you made that?
Oh, of course you were, Thierry.
Was that in Corner Brook? Was it?
Yeah. I don't know if it was the first time I made it, but you know.
Okay.
I've been threatening to do a Jig's risotto for years with but I just like haven't actually broken down and tried it yet. Like, because I know it's because I was always confused. I always assumed that risotto was tied to rice, and that's why it was risotto. Like, but apparently it's just any starch, which I didn't know.
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess so. I'm not quite sure.
Well, JC, Jeremy Charles in studio, folks. Got my Instagram going. The reason I ask is because we went on quite the trip, Jeremy and I would be remiss not to bring this up. Okay. So, without getting into the whole front, I'm trying to break this down. I talk too much as it is. I'm trying to break this down into a short story. Okay. Jason Momoa, who's a worldwide celebrity, we all know now, right? Aquaman.
Fucking Aquaman.
Well, before Aquaman, when he did a show called Frontier, I mean, he'd already done Game of Thrones, called Drago. So
he was Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah, he was Conan. So he was popular. He had a following. It shot through the roof while we were filming Frontier here in Newfoundland. But anyway, I got to know Momoa pretty well, and he got to know Jeremy. You know, he loved Merchant Tavern. So anyway, one day before
Who doesn't
season,
love Merchant.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks, guys.
One day before season 2 start or season 3 got underway. That's right. J-Mo came down. We call him J-Mo. So he came down to Merchant, and I happened to be there. It was Christmas parade, actually, a couple of years ago. And I happened to be there, and it was a surprise. I didn't even know he was coming to town, but he came to, like, scout some locations. While he was in the bar, he happened, or his personal assistant happened to bail for 3 months. So he's sitting there, we're on the beers, and he looks at me and goes, "You want to be my personal assistant for 3 months?" So now I'm like, perfect. So he goes, "You can just do stunts." So he just gave me this. I literally, we went out to Western Newfoundland. We went over to Europe. And I always had my British red coat on in case he needed me for a stunt scene. And he'd use me in a few. Episode 2 and 3 particular was awesome. But anyway, so we shot half of that season, at least the stunts part of it. Mm-hmm. Was part of the last part. At least, okay, Jason's whole part was shot in Western Newfoundland, so I went with him. Yeah. A few stunt guys came, Tommy Clark, Kim Farty, to just name 2. We went out there. So Jeremy came along as our chef, right? So I don't even know if that was in the cards, but Momo was like, you know, he's a big wheel. He wanted to do this. That's what happened. He wanted to get some shots in Gross Morin. He wanted the Humber River. He thought it was perfect. He wanted to stay in those chalets. So he went out and got about, how many, Jeremy? 3 or 4 chalets for probably 12 to 15 of us in total, being his personal wardrobe, his personal makeup.
The whole entourage and crew. Yeah.
So Jeremy came out to cook meals. So at the end of every and breakfast and everything as well. But you know, it was an event at the end of every evening, and Momoa loved it. So Momoa And I mean, this was crazy. Before I go any further, we went out to do one scene where Momoa throws me off a mountain and into a river. It's a long fucking story and a crazy story. And it was freezing. I had to go in the Humber River in February. This was February goddamn 4th, my mom's birthday. Into the Humber River. Full on. Yeah.
I wouldn't go into the Humber River now, let alone in February.
You would if they paid you a few grand.
I probably still wouldn't because I can't swim and I would have been fucked.
And, you know, I didn't want to let down Momoa. So
yeah. Well, no. If Jason Momoa gives you a few grand and asks you to jump in the river, you jump in the river.
Yeah, exactly.
It's Aquaman. Like, you know, you do what you do.
So Jeremy comes out, but I'm thinking, and normally you have craft services when you're on set. You know
yeah,
that, right? But I didn't realize.
I've eaten the Welch's fruit snacks, Terry. I know exactly what craft services are. Look at me. You know.
On this particular trip, craft services was like Jeremy would bring like vegetables out or whatever ingredients, broth, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Out to where we were going, and then he would actually go shoot the rabbits that we were going to eat for. So like we didn't have lunch to bring out because he was just going to shoot it out there. Like, so that's the kind of trip that we were. That's the kind of craziness. Like, so it was next level. So Momoa's loving this. He's loving, and you know, Jeremy, thank you.
There we go.
I'd brag to Jason about Jeremy, but he'd already loved Raymond's. He just hadn't met him.
Yeah.
We love Raymond's, love Merchants. So then this a few months before all this.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's how all this got set up. So we're out there. Me and Jeremy are having beers, and we're kind of chirping each other. And back in the day, Jeremy would say I bullied him. I don't know if I want to say that. I definitely, in our childhood,
What do you think?
I got more punches in than he did in our childhood, okay? So I don't know what you want to attribute that to. I was bigger. I often, I probably did bully him a little bit, only in the sense of 2019. Back in the day, it was just fucking around as kids.
Here's a question I have for you guys, not to go off on a tangent because I really want you to finish this story.
Yeah.
But I'm just curious. I know you're a pretty quiet, soft-spoken guy. Is that just because you haven't been able to get a fucking word in for your entire life?
It probably has something to do with it. I answered your question.
Which is like the most on-brand thing.
Jeremy, would you like to answer that question?
That's all right.
I didn't think so. I'll keep going.
Thanks, Jerry.
So we're over there. We're in Corner Brook, and we're having that. What is it? The Jigs Dinner Ravioli. Isn't that what you made?
Is that what I made? I can't remember. Yeah, it must have been.
It was. I thought it was the first time you'd done it. It was the first time I'd ever seen anything like it.
Yeah, we did a lot of pastas, handmade pastas.
We did quite a few. It was a real event at the end of each night. I would play some record, and Momoa loves the blues, old country kind of thing, so we kind of stayed on topic. And anyway, while we're sitting there and talking about me bullying Jeremy growing up, Momoa goes, and he's half on, he goes, fuck it. He goes, do you want to come over to England next month? He said, we're going over there. And he said, like, Terry's going to be a British redcoat. And he said, I'm on the other side. And he said, you can be one of the Scots that takes down Terry. He said, you can fucking crush his head with a rock. And I'm sitting there going, you got to be shitting me, but I'm loving it. So I'm like, we'll go over. So sure enough, man, we go over to northern England. We were in a place called Bamborough. I mean, like 500 people, maybe even less than that. But the way all these castles, because they wanted to shoot it for the castles, so the way all these castles are set up, you know, they're, for whatever reason, really small towns.
Yeah.
Right? Really small towns. So, but Jeremy came over, and we ended up, how long were you there after?
I was there like at least a week, wasn't it?
A week. After having never acted in your life, playing in one of Jason Momoa's Merry Men, or whatever the fuck it was, on the Scottish side.
And action. I was like, oh my God.
And they were being serious, and the guy, like, we were sparring, so I had to spar with this one dude, and then Jeremy would come in and kind of rescue, and the guy I was sparring with was Alex Arthur, and he's like the former WBE middleweight champion of the world. Like, I couldn't believe this. I'm like, right. Momoa brought in these ringers. They were like, and like 6 guys had done Lord of the Rings. One guy, Craig Hennison, was Spider-Man stuntman. Like, there was no dummies here. This was all fucking.
I remember seeing, I think J-Mo posted like a video of you guys all rehearsing the stunt in the castle. It was so cool.
It was crazy.
Yeah, it was nuts.
So Jeremy and I are thrust in there with these guys, and it just became. And Momoa's in this castle that goes back like 800 years, and we stayed over there. I mean, it was. I wouldn't even know what to liken the experience to. I really don't. Well, I mean, we stayed in a castle with Momoa and his buddies. Jeremy ended up going to his wedding. Honest to God, like I think the way it ended up, you became a better friend to him than I am. Tell us about that. What was Jason Momoa's wedding like?
Wait, I thought he'd been married for years.
No, he was with her for years.
Oh.
They only decided to get married. Like I remember he was over here and we were drinking one night, listening to Sturgill Simpson of all fucking things. Jeremy, you were with me.
Yeah,
and
it was at my house, remember?
He was at your house.
On the shed?
You were with me. Yeah, I was at my house. But that's what he said. He said, you know, I've been away for so long. He said, I love her and we've been together and I just never married her. So then the next thing, there's an invitation in the mail. I can't remember why I couldn't go, but Jeremy took him on the option and went down with Sarah. I mean, yeah, how was it?
Amazing. You know, I can imagine. But it wasn't like a crazy Hollywood wedding. It was really low-key and lovely. A lot of nice people.
Well, I mean, you know, that's kind of his whole brand, is just trying to be like as down to earth as possible while being one of the biggest stars in the world. Like that's kind of his whole thing that he does, right?
Yeah. And when you asked earlier about you know, the celebrity around town, I can honestly say that most people, even with him, I mean, you're not going to get much bigger of a star, especially before Aquaman came out. Let's put it in perspective. That's if not, is it the biggest movie of all time already? It's in the top 5.
No, it's not. It's not that. It's not like not that
top 5.
I don't think Aquaman's that. No,
okay. I mean, I'm going to say it is.
I'm going to check all time.
I don't think it's as good, and I just think it's because of the timing of it. Like any movie that comes out now, there's more screens, there's more money to be made.
Am I looking all-time worldwide box office grosses? Is that what I'm doing right now?
Yeah, it's up there.
Aquaman is 22nd.
Oh, really?
Oh, well. Hey.
It's still pretty high, to be honest, but I thought it was higher.
No, both Avengers, Endgame and Infinity War are in the top.
Why did you go there?
What's that? Just because they're...
Why do I care about the Avengers?
I'm just saying... I'm saying movies that have come out since Aquaman. There's at least 3... I think I'm seeing 3 on the list that have come out. 4 on the list that have come out since Aquaman.
First of all, it shouldn't be.
It would have hit 18th probably at its peak.
Maybe. And that's pretty high all time.
No, totally. That's insane. That's absolutely... And it's like way above Justice League.
It shouldn't be in the top 100, really. I mean, I like it.
It's
I love
a great
that he did
movie. James Wan is a genius. It's a wonderful movie. I stand by it. It's a great...
Might be, but okay. But I'd give you... There's probably thousands after number 100 that are great movies.
Yeah, no, but
I don't think it's in the top 100 movies of all time.
Great movies. I'm not talking great films. I'm talking great movies.
Holy fuck, this fucking hipster fucking
I'm just
language
saying,
now we're getting out
I'm
with.
just talking about, like, if you want to go to a movie and go and have that experience and sit there with popcorn, name me like something more
no, but
fun
it's still not
than...
in the top 100. I think it's only in the top 100 because there's more screens and it's more current.
You know what?
Right? Anything close to now is going to outsell. Like now... name me any. So I bet you Ant-Man probably got more money than Shawshank Redemption.
Well, Shawshank Redemption isn't a blockbuster
great
movie that way.
movie.
It's a great movie. Going back to the previous thing, I call it a fucking film. But the thing is that
why would you call it a fucking film and
because
one's a movie?
It's not something you like Shawshank Redemption is something you sit down and you watch in a different way than you
Mike,
go and watch
you're talking
Aquaman or Ant-Man.
subjectively. They're all fucking movies.
No,
they're all movies.
They're all films. I mean, they're all both things.
Yeah.
But my whole point is, in terms of what's considered a box office, like get bums and seats in a theater, it's generally something that is more of an easily consumable, sit down with some popcorn and a giant soda and watch movie.
To you.
And I think for most people.
I don't.
And so,
there's going to be lots of foggy line. But you're just saying it's a total subjective thing. Some are films and some are movies.
Yeah, no, that's just a weird thing that I say. But
I know exactly. I know where you're going. You don't have to break it down anymore.
But what
I'm still not putting Aquaman in the top 100 of either what you're talking about. 100, man, ever. Right? It was okay. Right?
Let's see. Let's check its Rotten Tomatoes. How's that?
Sure.
We should start talking about Sunday hockey. Remember J-Mo came to Sunday hockey?
Oh, my God, yes.
And
so J-Mo came to Sunday. Jeremy hasn't spoken for 13 and a half minutes.
No, it's all good.
Can you please tell people what happened at Sunday hockey?
Well, J-Mo came, which was pretty amazing.
We were with him the first time he ever put on skates.
I've played hockey with him.
I'm guessing Aquaman got 60% maximum.
70 on IMDb. And where's Rotten Tomatoes?
Yeah, we didn't ask for IMDb.
65 on the tomato meter, 75 on the audience score.
Again, pretty good.
It's good. Pretty good movie. It's a good movie. That's all I'm saying. I'm standing by it.
All time, I'm just not putting it in the top 100. films or movies or fucking theater or pictures or whatever you want to call it, I'm saying he's not in the top 100. I love J-Mo, and I really was entertained by the movie, but, you know, Dora the Explorer was as good. But Jeremy, so anyway, and I think that was a good movie.
Haven't seen it, can't comment.
Point being, there's 10 or 15 Aquamans a year. And think about how many years movies have been around, that puts it at about fucking 300. But let's move on. So J-Mo comes out on the ice with us. Sunday hockey at St. Ponds.
Where he's the size of the rink.
Yeah. And he starts, and I know in my head, because he wants to like jerk around and fight, and I'm like, on the ice, I'm not scared to fight anybody.
Yeah.
Because if I've already fought the toughest hockey players around, I'm not saying I beat them, but I can stand in there. It's all about balance too, right? Like you can be small up top, but it's about balance and learning how to take the punches and everything. So I know, like Momoa, I fought guys like that. Like if you can't skate, you just grab him and shake him a few times, he's gonna fall down. But he'd played like roller hockey, so his balance wasn't as shitty as you thought.
Also, he surfs, right?
Yeah,
and so surfing is that's the thing, because he
climbs as well.
He came out to our Friday skate once with you, and I played with him one time. And the biggest thing I could always note was that like starting and stopping, he kind of looked like a 7-foot version of Bambi, but once he got going, he was really smooth and really stable.
Yeah, and if you'll notice, a lot of his instincts as an athlete were on point. Like when we squared off, he knew to like bend his legs and get low to the ground.
Yeah.
Even though he's a big guy and he's taller than me, but that's when I could throw him off balance. But if the lower you get right to the ground, your center of gravity, and he did that right away, and he grabbed me. And Momoa doesn't fuck around. Like, he'll be jumping with his buddies, but if you really want to play fight, So there's a scene, season 2, episode 5 of Frontier. Again, I play some schmo. You don't see my face because I've already been in the show, right? The first scene in Frontier, if I haven't fucking said it already, is me losing my life, my throat. He slits my throat. So anyway, anytime I came back, I either had have a beard, contacts in, whatever. Yeah. So, but he does get me, and he hockey fights me. He wanted to do it for a laugh. He pulls my coat over my head.
Yeah.
But he's throwing real punches. So Jeremy's there laughing and goes, "Yeah, why don't you guys go?" And I'm thinking, this is my only time to beat Jason Momoa in this situation. And he fucking feeds me. I'm going, holy shit. It's his first time skating. He feeds me like, oh man, I'm going, and he's laughing. So you're gonna do it, you're gonna do it. He's laughing while he's doing it, but we're fighting like a real fight.
Yeah.
Like I fought guys that took it easier just as friends on other teams, like Chad Cabana was still. He's going hard. So I'm going, holy fuck. Like I actually just got in a hockey fight. And he's laughing. And at the end, I think I just kind of slew-footed him and made him fall down. He gets up.
Yeah.
And his mom walks in. So he goes, hey, mom. And he runs over and hits the boards just for a laugh. Yeah. And the fucking, Jeremy, what happened?
The glass came out.
The glass came out. I went right over and smashed off the wall. Like, at St. Bon's. Like, whoever has thrown a hit in there, first of all. When I say St. Bon's, those listening, it's like half the size of a real ice surface, maybe not even 3/4.
It's a place where I think we've talked about what it's like in playing ball hockey, where also you play a floating blue line at St. Bon's because it's such a small rink.
Small, yeah.
So once you gain the blue line, you can go drop back to the red.
On Twitter, St. Bon's forum account says it's the third oldest rink in North America. Who knows? But it's definitely up there.
But men's senior hockey played championships there, and it boggles my mind.
Yeah, because there was nowhere else to play.
But I mean, still, just to think that ice surface hosted herders, and I'm just like, I don't know. Anyway,
they must have been wicked with their hands and not been able to skate very well. So anyway, I can think about it. But yeah, so Momoa hits the boards. Like he just
did it hit his mom?
No, but
thank
God it didn't. I would have taken her out.
Jeez,
it was nuts. But Momoa was. Tell these stories. He wasn't a violent guy.
Yeah.
He just kind of did that. He loved the violent part of hockey. So, sure enough, as soon as I showed him skates, he wanted to hit and he wanted to fight. And I was like, well, we don't, rec hockey's rec hockey. I mean, he got all that. I don't think he wanted to fight, but he's like, well, you were a fighter. You can take it. I'm like, holy shit. Like, I mean, I'm putting it up there with one of the hardest punches I've ever gotten from anybody. Sorry. But we'll get back to Jeremy.
So Jeremy Charles is with us. For those of you who
it's all good, man. I'm
been around for the last hour and 15 minutes and weren't sure.
Hey guys, by the way, did you want another beer?
Yeah, sure.
Here, Jeremy, can you grab us a beer? I'm going to tell a story. Can you grab us a beer?
It all feels so familiar.
Well, I'm just kidding. This is all right. A little bit of puff and plunge.
There we go.
Nice seaweed ghost.
I haven't tried this one yet.
It's a little
The
sour.
last one I've had before. This one I haven't tried, and I noticed that Jeremy pours up a half glass for me because as I say I haven't tried it. He's like,
well, and there's only so much left.
oh well, that might be it too.
Yeah, you get the least.
Keeping it all from me.
That tracks. That seems fair.
Jeremy,
Yes.
Ooh, that's good. That's good.
Luck would have it. Last month, you got to go to Portland, Oregon.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool place.
Yeah, you were telling me about this. Yeah.
Can you tell us about that trip? And then I have a follow-up question, a real one.
Okay. Yeah, we went there for a food and wine event in Portland. It was called Feast, and they have a bunch of American chefs to come together and barbecue and do a bunch of stuff. And yeah, it was really cool to get invited out. I think it was the only Canadian to go out there, so it was kind of cool.
I loved that Tri-Cities, where I played junior, is not far from Portland.
Yeah.
It's on the West Coast, for those that don't know. There's a Portland, Maine, which I think most people over here, when you say Portland, that's what they associate it with. Being proximity and being the Portland Pirates, the AHL team that played here for years, is from Portland, Maine.
Yeah.
But Portland, Oregon has a team, the Portland Winterhawks, a junior team.
Yeah.
And I would go in there, and I just love the West Coast. Now, again, the time I was out west, you know, it was the grunge movement was happening, and it was around Seattle and Portland, and I love that. But, Jeremy, it was Portland. I don't want to say everything you thought it would be. I know I talked it up a bit, but I just think it's one of the most underrated cities in the States. What did you think of it? And second of all, I mean, as a city, what would be the most interesting place that you've traveled to? Because you, my friend, now are almost more traveled than I am. You know, at one point it was very much the opposite, but at this point,
yeah, no, it was really cool. I mean, it was a long haul to get out there, right? All the way. We went to Vancouver and down, and obviously, I always wanted to make it to Tri-Cities, but I never made it. So it was really cool to get out there and in that neck of the woods. And people there were very, very chill. Super chill.
That's what I loved about
it.
Man.
You never even hear a horn go off in the street. Like it was like you know,
really laid back.
A big city like that, people are very keep Portland weird. They're definitely doing that too.
And every block,
but it was really
has a
cool.
record store.
Yeah.
You know,
but that's great.
I know.
Yeah, but
it's
it was
really
pretty welcoming.
I don't even think the word hipster exists
beyond,
there.
Beyond
because,
hipster.
Yeah, because everybody's a hipster. It's just the culture. It's beyond hipster.
Yeah.
Well, hence Portlandia for anybody who's seen that. Have you ever seen that?
I've never seen the show. I heard about it.
It just plays on all that. It just plays on the people of Portland and how laid back it actually is. I mean, there's parts of Newfoundland that are laid back, but this is a different laid back. It's right in between Seattle. Even when the grunge movement was going on, it was led by like an angst-ridden kind of feel.
Yeah,
a lot of those songs were, whereas the Beach Boys were surfing and, girls and cars. Really putting it mildly, they were one of the best bands of all time. I'm really, really just scratching the surface there, but you know what I mean. A lot of the grunge movement was, angst and, we're here now, entertain us, Portland. And then you got California, which is the sunny place. A lot of people hang out by the beach. The music, if there are a band that dominates, say, the Sunset Strip, it might be Motley Crue, which is back in the day, I'm just saying the associations, which kind of are like associated with angst, but it was almost just a show. It was an act. Right? It was almost, and then you get the laid back California. Well, Portland is like both of those things mixed. No one's too pissed off, but they're not like, what's the word?
They're more like annoyed driven than angst driven. Like,
yeah, I just think a lot of them enjoy that music.
Yeah.
But they'll talk about, it's more of a talking point. You'll talk about it in a coffee house as opposed to a rowdy bar.
Right.
Like a lot of people are stoned. That's basically what I'm saying. A lot of people are on marijuana. Not a lot of hard drugs. I'm sure there are people there that are. But in my experience was like, hey, man, how you doing? Oh, you're from Newfoundland. Oh, wow. And we get talking, and then the whole afternoon would go by, and you go for a bite to eat. You might have a few beers, but it wasn't really a hard drinking place.
Yeah.
Nor was it, what's the word about California? A lot of pretentious, kind of snobby, elitist. Because I know what you're saying, but I mean, my experience with California, I don't mean in a ivory tower way. I just mean, a lot of into themselves. What's the word? Like Instagram. Like everybody's a celebrity.
It's
like
a very
but the most fake tits on the planet.
shallow.
Where are we going?
We can say shallow if that's what if you're like
shallow.
Self.
Everybody's selling themselves in some way or another. I'm not. Cali's Cali. If I could live there, I would.
It's a great spot.
There's a lot of people like Teddy Purcell that just go there and they blend in and they love it. I just mean Portland had the best of both of those worlds to me. There was beaches, there was coastline, there was music. Mm-hmm. It just seemed to be more of a weed/food culture.
A lot of great microbrews, actually.
A lot of great microbreweries. Thanks for speaking up, guest.
And they had some really good music too.
So, that's what I love about it. It was impossible to go to Seattle and walk into one of those concerts without sharing someone's anger. I didn't see that. I mean that in a good way too, but I didn't see that in Portland. But now to extend on that, Jeremy, like at this point, and I know a couple of years ago you went on a crazy trip to Denmark. You've been to Scotland a few times. Like what? Bad question is what's the most unique, but what impressed you the most? I would think even though Scotland is amazing,
for sure.
Even though it's amazing, you probably expected exactly what you saw. Like, I love Northern England and Scotland. When you and I were there, I was referring to a different trip, by the way. Yeah. But it's what I expected.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've been fortunate to travel a lot, obviously, in the culinary world, cooking all around. And, it's hard to really pinpoint one spot. But, I mean, I really love the Amalfi Coast, and I love Italian food, and I love pastas and simplicity.
Italy for me.
It's,
Italy's number one with a bullet.
Yeah, I've been fortunate to be there a few times and do some events, and people and the food and the culture is really cool. But
what do you see now for Hank and Iris as a father? Do you look at them as the first? Like, is the first thing you see athletic, or is it? I'd like them to follow in my footsteps in the culinary industry.
No, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. Ever be chained to a stove for like 10 years? I'm just joking.
I know exactly what you're saying.
The restaurant industry, it's really challenging, very stressful, and a lot of work. And when I was cooking years ago, when I first started out, there was no real food TV or whatnot. It wasn't really glamorous to be a chef, so to speak. There was none of that going on. I remember telling Mom I was going to be, taking that route, and I remember.
Jeremy, I
think she was crying on the other line.
You're not going to believe this, but I remember that time, and I think she got you a book.
Yeah. Don't sweat the small stuff.
Don't sweat the small stuff. It's only small stuff.
Yeah.
And I read it too.
Mom. Yeah.
I read it too. There's a good shitter read because there was but it was because, and I say that with, as a complimentary tone. I'm you got to go to the bathroom. So whatever book you put in there, whether it's in 10-minute segments or not, you're going to get it read. And at first I was like, is she nuts giving Jeremy this book? No one even really talked about, no one talks about the mental issues or anything like that.
Yeah.
Not that he was fucking nuts, but you know what I mean? Don't sweat. Don't do it. Everybody is in a way. We're learning that now. All this Bell Let's Talk and stuff, that affects most people. Like I said, most people at some point, everybody has worries. Everybody has anxieties as I get drunk. But at the time, it was like a faux pas to even talk about that. But Jeremy and I shared that book. It was one of our first moments of openness.
Thanks to her for
no problem
reminding me about that.
And you know what? So to finish this off, we usually do another. You want to just do our other chat with him here?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to drive him home at some point. I'd rather not have him, waiting in the corner while we analyze the game. And he has every right to do the same thing. Jeremy played.
Okay.
So I'm going to look. So can we say that? Is that okay, guys? Is that okay with you, Jeremy? We'll go about another 20 minutes. Is that all right?
Oh man,
I think that's fine. So what we'll do, if you've been listening along this far, you realize you've probably heard me come on just before this and explain that we get right into the interview and then we do the hockey talk after. And I'll probably do that and go back and record that. And you've heard that an hour and a half ago. So here we are.
Here we are. So I'm going to look. I have no idea.
I do. I've got to follow up to another question. I asked you that really crappy stock question about what your like signature, your go-to thing to cook would be.
No worries.
No, it was a crappy question. But to follow up that, another crappy question is, what is kind of, you're really well known for really kind of experimenting with different things. What's your like favorite just like go to? Like, I'm somebody who has one of the greatest chefs in the country in my house right now, and the last thing I cooked was chicken fingers out of a box. So I'm just like, what's your like go to, just easy, just fun to have? Like, if it's takeout, if it's whatever, like what's your, people wouldn't expect it to be like a favorite of Jeremy Charles's?
I love thin crust pizza, Venice thin crust Hawaiian, hot peppers with feta.
Ooh, yeah, man.
So, which is surprising considering your time in Chicago.
Well, yeah, deep dish. I'm not a big fan of deep dish. Too much dough, too much bread.
All right, but you're a pineapple on pizza guy.
I do like pineapple on pizza. Yeah.
All right. I know that's something that's
yeah.
hotly
I love
contested.
it.
So there you go.
Since, you know what? Not that we're talking about it. I try to go. I'll never go full veggie, but it's healthier not to eat. I was eating like a steak a day at one point, to fucking double burgers everywhere I went. So I try to cut down the red meat and everything else. And I found breakfast.
But it's so delicious.
It is. I cut it out of breakfast, and then someone told me pizza, and I said, oh, fuck, I'm never going to go there. Jeremy, I can't believe you said that. First of all, I love Venice. It's one of my favorites in town. I like Mr. Jim's, and Mr. Jim's is gone now. It was a lot like Venice.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Mr. Jim's is Mount Pro version of Venice.
Piatto's great as well,
Yeah, well, Piatto and pie.
Pie is fantastic.
I love. So
yeah.
You
got to go there and sit down and eat your pizza.
Yeah, but I'm talking like go and get something to buy a slice. If you're talking about just like what's
I'm talking about the delivery stuff. I know technically, I'm Mount Pearl. I want a pizza. I want delivery. It's Acropolis. It's Peters. It's whatever. They're all decent, or they wouldn't be there. But I do, and I cut out the meat, and I go with often pineapple feta. I can't believe you said that. And I find it, I almost taste the pizza more. But again, that's my own subjective opinion after. Yeah. And I find in Italy it's more simplistic. I think that's what it came. It was traveling to Italy. Like if I want a pizza, I pick either the ham pizza or prosciutto, I guess they call it. It just, you can't get a pizza in Italy with like 17 things on it and grease dropping off.
Simple. 3 items.
It's all simple. And I think that's why I enjoy it. Like, I order a pizza here now. They're like, well, you can have 5 toppings. I'm like, I don't even know if I want that many. Penny Posh, maternity wear reimagined, breaking the barriers of style, fit, and comfort that often leave mothers-to-be uninspired in their new wardrobe. Penny Posh's designs have reinvented a clothing category often seen as disposable, temporary, and unattractive. Well, not with Penny Posh. Check it out. A continuous fit maternity collection from bump to bundle and beyond. You can check them out on Twitter at Penny_Posh, on Instagram at PennyPosh_maternity, and of course on their website, www.pennyposhdesigns.com. Penny Posh Designs, maternity wear reimagined. So we got a few other things to talk about before we go. Whatever normally we would talk about, the preamble and then the post-interview talk, we're going to do it all in one, like I just said. I got to tell you, so the first thing I'm going to talk about, and this is a statement, the NHL Leafs Ottawa exhibition game was here. Yeah. So the Leafs were here for a week. They had camp. I'm an alumni of the St. John's Maple Leafs, their farm team. Yeah. So, and I didn't get into the game, and I'd like to tell everybody that I didn't think that was very professional. I'm not going to snap and like make a joke, fuck you or anything. Trevor Murphy's my good buddy, and it wasn't him. I'm not pointing at him right now. He works with the Growlers. He's worked all over. He's our good buddy we grew up with, and Trevor has gone out of his way. He got JMO tickets last year, Jason Momoa, tickets out in Vancouver to a Canucks game. He's gone out of his way. I'm not talking about him. What I'm talking about, I emailed the Alumni Association. I'm not going to say who. I was pointed towards him. I took all the guys out. I got them screeched in, not the Marner and them, but the alumni guys. Right. My wife works at Merchant Tavern. Went out of her way to get them all kinds of reservations. Like it's not easy at a place like Merchant to change shit around at 6, 7 o'clock. And not only that, I played on the team, and I took punches in the face. I fucking blocked shots. Whatever you want to say. I played for the organization. I brought people in the building. I saw not even to put me in the press box, nothing. I thought that was absolute bullshit. And someone is going to be, at some point, listen to this. We have, tens of thousands of listeners now. and someone's going to be associated. I'm not. My buddy Dave Roper's the equipment manager. People are going to me, why didn't you just call Davey? Because I don't want to fucking bother him at that time. I know what it's like. I know that it can be a distraction.
No, but that's not. It's not his job to get you tickets in this scenario.
No.
You work for the team.
He could have done it, I'm sure.
But you played for the team.
I played for the team.
It should be the alumni association that's taking care of you.
Before we started, I just thought that was a bit of bullshit. Now, the second thing, you want to talk about movies. So you were talking about the movie It.
Yeah.
So I watched it.
The new one?
Yeah, the
Chapter
new one.
2? Yeah.
No. I had never seen It.
Oh, you never seen Chapter 1?
A month ago we were here. So you said, Jeremy, did you see this movie It?
Chapter 1?
No,
Chapter 1.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say garbage, but dude, okay, I need a reason though.
Yeah.
This fucking clown. Okay, first of all, he's just in the gutter, and then you can just see anything. Like, I need a reason. Tell me the reason. Like, at the end, if you find a guy and you're like, oh, even in Scooby-Doo, oh, but it was a ghost. Or, but they were dreaming. Oh, that's why he could just, like, make something, or he could just become a tiger. Or that's why he could live in the gutter. It didn't make any sense.
But
I still, in the end, I don't understand where he came from.
But that's all, because here's the thing. Have you ever read the book?
No, I'm definitely not going to read it now.
So here's the thing about
it was poison.
Here's the thing about It. It's brilliant. It's one of the greatest. It's one of the greatest. Just whole things.
How? Wait. How?
But let me.
I want to know. Like, nothing can scare me if you don't tell me where it comes from.
But here's the thing with It is that it is told in two perspectives. You get it, and in the novel, it's interchanged between because It as an entity comes back every 27 years to inflict terror and evil.
I know.
Amongst
I get all
area.
that.
Yeah. So
why though?
Let me tell you.
Okay.
Is this what it's been like for 42 years?
Yes.
So the whole thing is that you get the novel from two perspectives. You get this group of losers, the Losers Club, as kids and then as adults when they come back. And it's through that process that they find out exactly what it is and why it is what it is.
So I'm going to find out in 2?
It's in chapter 2.
Well,
It gets kind of made clear.
Because right now we're looking at a 5 out of 10 from me, and that's just because there was good makeup and shit.
Yeah,
and the kids were good actors.
I get you, and it's one of those things that for me, knowing, having seen the original miniseries, having read the book, all those things, it was kind of something I was aware of. So I didn't really think about the fact that you don't get that origin.
Yeah.
Of exactly what it is.
Like E.T.
It doesn't really.
He came from another planet.
Well, he's called
right?
E.T.
Yeah, I know. But anything, you name me something. Freddy Krueger.
Actually,
name me anything.
In all fairness, E.T. is for the extraterrestrial. It is theoretically the interterrestrial.
Okay, maybe.
Because it's an interdimensional thing. So maybe.
Let me say this.
All right, what?
It's just like when people start telling me a story about a dream,
Yeah.
I'll walk out.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're wasting my time. Anything can happen in a dream. You tell me now that, and Jesus himself showed up and got shit-faced and banged a hooker, right? You can say that because you're fucking dreaming, right? So nothing is going to impress me. I want out of this, fucking, talk about your dreams, right? Abort this dream conversation. Same thing with It. Like,
no,
if you can't tell me why you're doing that, like all of a sudden a kid could turn around and there's a fucking like red rhinoceros with fucking hula hoops made of fire. Like, okay, but why? Like, if I don't know why, it just starts to get fucking over the top. I know what you're saying.
But again, it's one of those, it's a storytelling thing. Like, I think chapter 1 was made fully aware that chapter 2 was going to be a thing.
Maybe.
And so they deliberately told the story so that you got, instead of it being intercut, you got all the kids stuff off the top, and the adult stuff is all chapter 2. Now they do intercut back with the kids, and there's supposedly going to be a supercut that combines the two films in a version that lines up with kind of the timelines of the book.
Well, before,
but the other thing to note is that, like, why I said it's the greatest is because, for one, I love it, and I got to go and be on the red carpet for it and interview people and got to talk to Bill Skarsgård about playing Pennywise, which was really, really cool and one of the best experiences ever. But beyond all that, and just kind of, because I've often wondered if my love for the movie was kind of jaded by how cool that, like, if it was rose-colored glasses because of that experience.
I
because
guarantee it was.
I watched
still
it for
don't
the
know
first,
what fucking happened.
But the thing, but I also just love the book. I love Stephen King, but also I do too. But I also read Dance Macabre, and so Dance Macabre is a book that King put out a couple years before it that he wrote as an answer to the question,
It's fine, though.
why are you into horror? And it reads as a nonfiction companion to it, and I think both of them just work really well together. I just love the whole kind of thing. I'm just somebody who's close enough to it that I just love it.
We'll move on because I know you're passionate, and like me about hockey, you could talk about this for an hour, and you'd probably go somewhere great. I just don't want to waste people's time any further with this because they're not listening to this for that, but I brought it up for a reason, and if anybody could correct me, you could. I just thought...
And there's a whole bunch of people who just heard that and went, wait, Mike was on the red carpet for it? It was actually a black carpet, but yes.
Yeah, well, you were fucking flaunted. Now, I got something to say.
Okay.
I don't know, and Jeremy, maybe you can even pipe in here.
He barely piped in during his own interview because we didn't really give him a chance. So
True enough. It's Jeremy Charles / Terry Ryan interview. Fuck everybody. It's our
I feel
podcast.
like the promo image for this episode should be Jeremy's name but your face. Like I think we should do that.
With me shoving him out of the way. Okay, we all talked. I think I don't want to beat it to death. We talked about it last week. I'm trying to get to a few things quick. I just give my opinion. Now, what happened in the last couple of weeks, guys? Let's think of the
Lots of stuff.
RFAs that are big.
Okay.
Now, I said, and fuck, I'd love to see the Leafs win. Just like Jeremy, I know it's a generic answer or a too easy of a layup answer, not generic. But, any Canadian team to win just to break that curse that's been happening since 1993, of course. I'd love to see that. And I'd love to see the Leafs win. I think 3 guys over 10 million, though, when you're a team that's done nothing. When teams like Pittsburgh, Washington, Chicago, look at Boston, and you got all kinds of guys. And anyway, making a lot less than 10. Now, Marner comes out. Again, I love watching him play. He's probably the most... Him and Patrick Kane are probably my 2 favorite to watch. I think Crosby's the best. I'm not going to say... But to watch, as just watch creativity, Marner's unreal. But the guy's never had 30 goals. The guy plays with Tavares, and the guy's only in his third year in the league. He's a winger. He's not a centerman. To give him all that money? Now, what happened? Line A, 44 goal scorer, never had less than 30 in 3 years in the league, signed yesterday for $7 million.
Yeah.
Kyle Connor, who's arguably better, first-round pick a few years ago, had 30 goals last 2 years for the Canucks. He signs for $7 million. What happened? Braden Point.
Right. Point was, I'm looking at it here
Tampa
now.
Bay Lightning. Tampa Bay Lightning have Steve Stamkos and Braden Point for the price of Austin Matthews. And I think that's bullshit. I really do. No wonder these teams win. I know the Leafs are in a big market, but they haven't won anything. I think Marner, looking back now, just looking back 2 weeks, I think he got grossly overpaid. And I love him. I love watching everything about him. I love his passing. But $10.8 million.
Yeah.
And Matthew Tkachuk, $7 million.
Yeah.
Right? All these RFAs we were waiting on, not only did they sign for less, they signed for way less.
I think it's
fuck.
kind of cracked because, it's something we've talked about a fair bit, obviously, but you got these guys who everyone was saying that, we're going to wait, and once Marner signs, that's when you're going to see all the other pieces fall because Marner's going to set the price. Marner signed for like $3 million more than the next almost $4 million more than the next guy. McAvoy and Carlo, who were the 2 big Bruins signings. Carlo, I'm looking at here, went 2.8. McAvoy was 4.9. These were supposed to be the big signings that we were worried about. As Bruins fans, I would people were talking how are we going to sign both of them and all this, especially when Marner set the price point so high for an RFA, and instead everyone's just like, no, he's crap.
I think it makes the Leafs and Dubas and everybody involved look horrible.
Well, it sets a much louder timer.
I thought it was going to set a tone.
Yeah. No, I'm saying set a timer. Sets it more than anything else now. The Leafs went from having a window of whatever of 5 years to win the cup or whatever to they got maybe 2. They got maybe 2 or 3. If they're not in the cup final within the next 2 years, there's riots in the streets.
I don't even think how the formula happens. Again, Braden Point.
Yeah.
He's one of the best players in the National Hockey League. He had 92 points with the President's Trophy winners.
Yeah.
Steve Stamkos had 60 goals. He gets 8. What the fuck are they doing?
But not only the President's Trophy winners, arguably one of the 4 greatest all-time NHL regular season teams. That Tampa Bay team put up a record that puts it in the top third, the number 3 all-time regular season record. And he was
So
the best player
the
on
only
one
one-
of the best all-time regular season teams, and he gets almost like, he gets what, $5 million less.
Yeah, less. The only way that they could do that again, and bounces happened. I didn't think they had a bad playoff. They ran into the wrong team at the wrong time. Timing's everything, but you still have to tip your hat to a team that over 82 games walked away with the President's
Columbus,
Trophy.
right?
But how do they do it?
Swept them?
It is, yeah.
Fuck.
But how do they do it? They do it, and they're successful because they got guys like Point taking half what they could.
Yeah.
And you got, like, literally, Marner and Matthews squeezed every penny out of the Leafs that they possibly could, and now, like, they're I shouldn't say overpaid yet, but they're way more paid than other superstars of the same category, and they've won nothing. And that's what I don't get. They've won nothing.
I don't 100% agree with your statement, because I
Fair
don't think that Matthews did. I think Matthews is arguably overpaid, but the fact that he signed in January or February, as opposed to doing the exact same thing Marner's doing and dragging it into camp and going that far, shows that he went, okay.
Yeah, but he made him drag it into camp because he set the bar so high.
Yeah, but again, like, he could have held out longer and waited on it and got more.
For what? Wait. How much more? Doesn't he get like 13 fucking million a year?
No. But what I'm saying
how much
is,
more was he going to get?
and that's the point, that he decided that, okay, this is enough. But if he,
I guess what are they going to?
But if he says no to 13, they do 13.5.
Well,
that's the thing, is like, the fact that he signed the fact that he signed mid-season, took it off the table, just had it done. No matter how much money he's making, and no matter whether or not he's overpaid, doesn't say to me, like, the fact that it didn't get dragged out through the offseason and into camp and all those things that happened with Marner.
There's other factors. Maybe they wanted to sign him first and they were hell-bent on it. Maybe they were working for a year before that on it.
Completely. And I'm totally...
I think he's overpaid.
I think he's overpaid too, and I'm agreeing with that. I just don't think he necessarily, like, squeezed blood from a rock the way that Marner did. And so I don't think he necessarily took the team for everything they had left. Marner is somebody who... Mitch Marner, at some point, like you said last week, Mitch Marner at some point had them come to him and go, $10.6 million. He said no. And then $10.7 million, he said no.
But Matthews might have too. You're just looking at the timing of it.
Yeah, no.
Fair enough.
But I think the timing and the stopwatch, like, I think...
They only wanted 3 of them.
I just don't think if you're signing in January, or it was January, I think, when Matthews signed. I just don't think that if you're getting your contract signed in January, then you're feeling like, okay, this is their final offer.
So
if
you're
it's January,
saying,
is all I'm saying.
So
that's
you're
all
saying,
I'm saying. I'm agreeing with you. Other than I think he might have held out for more money if, like, he was in the position to. If that's what they were throwing at him at that time.
Usually you get on me for talking now, or too much. Now listen.
All right.
I agree. So what you're saying then is that unless you push the team, that's the only way you're going to get maximum.
No.
Okay, wait now, because let me speak for a second.
Yeah, no.
So you're saying that Matthews signed earlier and he didn't drag it out. So the only way that you're going to milk your team is if you drag it out. You think that that's the only way to do it publicly and bring it in, because I'm saying it's not, and I'm saying anything can happen behind the scenes. And Matthews probably said at the beginning, maybe that was their plan. We want to sign you first, and then we're going to sign him. Now, what does it take? And he probably said it takes $15 million. And they said, no fucking way, we're going to give you 10. It might have taken 6 months. But they landed at 13. How much more do you think he's going to get? I could say a guy like Nylander, you might have a point, and I still don't agree. I think he's overpaid too. I think they're all fucking overpaid. But, I'm just saying, unless you hold out, you're saying you don't milk the team for whatever it's worth. Even though Matthews, I think he gets $13 million a year. I mean, how much more are you saying that he could have held out for? 15?
His cap hit is 11.6.
Yeah, still
which is still a ridiculous amount of money. And it's all signing bonuses. Obviously, like, his salary is $700,000.
If it's me, I hook these people up. If I was on the fence for a few $100,000, I'd like say, you know what, Mitch? How about we make your father head of I don't know.
You talked about this last week too.
Road relations in Manitoba.
Yeah, totally.
We'll give him $250,000 to go out there and represent the Leafs at 5 different events during the summer and winter, whatever.
Yeah,
it
and
might be.
then
my next thing I want to get to.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
No, all I was just gonna say is that like I don't think Again, I think that signing earlier than the season, earlier than the off season, I think taking care of a contract mid-year, regardless of how big that contract is, I think signing mid-year and not dragging it into the off season and not, because I feel like if you drag it into the off season, then that implies there's a confidence that it's going to go that you really think you deserve more. And I think he got to a point where he's like, yep, this is a fair amount of money for, like, we think he's overpaid. He doesn't think he's overpaid. He thinks he's getting the exact proper amount of money.
I think it all makes the Leafs look bad. I don't care what way, I don't care what way you slice this up.
I think, what is it? They have 4 guys on their roster that make up half of their cap hit.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Like the salary cap is like $81 million, and they have 4 guys that take like $40 million of that.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That's cracked. That's insanity.
Is that throwing all your eggs in one basket?
Oh, jeez.
I think so. No, I think it is. I mean, like right now they're like just scouring waivers for a backup goalie.
And that way, though,
like,
you can't get mad at these, like, these people can't shit on the fourth liners then when they come in and they're not what the other team's depth players are. It's like, Jeremy, what if you had, you went to an event and there was a cap on the whole thing, and you and, for lack of a better, just here name people recognize. Let's say you and Todd Parent in your field. You know a lot about the industry. You're culinary people. You're starting an adventure. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go overseas and we're going to have some competitions, culinary competitions. You guys can bring who you want. You bring 10 people, but you and Todd represent half of the money. Now you got to pick 8 people that equal your 2. Whereas if another place, went with the 2 people that are in your position, took a lot less for the benefit of the team, and then all of a sudden it's your 10th guy is as good, or girl, is as good as many people's 3rd or 4th guy. And I think that's what you got with the Leafs. It's the exact same. I'm trying to make a culinary comparison, or hypothetically, but
it's good.
It doesn't. Basically, point being, it could be food, it could be music, it could be.
Yeah,
if you're sacrificing,
either way, you're winding up with me as a 4th line sous chef.
Let's say Tavares, and Tavares was done long ago, and he at least deserves it. He at least worked his way. That's why people are saying, "Oh, Matthews might lose the captaincy." Well, but you're all fucking crazy if you think he was going to get it anyway. You got a guy on the team that was an NHL captain for the better part of a fucking decade with an Olympic championship, the New York vibe. I mean, come on. Why in the fuck would anybody other than John Tavares, makes $10 million plus, why would anybody other than him be the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs? If you can answer that, you're a real fucking Gen Xer. Like, because I don't get it. I really don't, in this age of social media and everything else. Everybody's promoting it, and rookies aren't scared anymore of having, or rookies don't have as much respect, whatever it might be, and clearly that's the case. But for a guy like Austin Matthews, who, again, I love. I think he's a great player. He's physical. He's physical in more different ways than fighting. But, uses his body. Like, I like watching him, too. But, that money, I don't know, man. I don't know. And if I was going to be the captain, show me something. Mm-hmm. Take 9 for the team. And now we can get a better. We got to sign Tyson Barrie next year, guys. How's that going to go?
Yeah.
He's a defenseman no one's talking about. Had almost 60 points as a D-man in Colorado. Played with some great players, got some great experience. No one's even talking about him, and he'll go to the way of the dodo bird next year, and you're going to get some fucking, AHL average player in there because these guys are taking all the money. Whereas, right, for years, Crosby, Malkin, Fleury, Letang, right, Kunitz, they could all play on one team because they all said, you know what, okay, we're all rich anyway, fuck it. We're going to win a Stanley Cup, we're going to be richer.
Yeah.
Right? But, that's just one example. Anyway, I go off, and I know I talk about this a lot. Next thing, the word winningest. The word winningest.
Yeah.
Why is that in the English language? It doesn't make any sense to me.
I hate it. And I particularly hate it as it's something that we're seeing pop up a lot lately.
Why?
Because there's no ties anymore. That's
People
my
say,
argument.
well, I just heard the other day.
People talk about the winningest coach or the winningest goalie or the winningest, so the person that has won the most, and that's kind of the word that they've invented.
Say the most championships. How is it most wins? How is it this guy has the most rings? This guy has the. Can't I say that?
No,
I'm
you
just
have to
saying,
say winningest.
There was something about the Montreal Canadiens, the winningest hockey team of all time. What do you mean winningest? How about this? Me and Jeremy are here. I've got more ball hockey wins than he got. Am I winninger? And am I a winninger ball hockey player? Because if there's no word winninger,
Well, when you say it that way, it just sounds silly.
yeah. So if there's no word winninger, then there shouldn't be a word winningest.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I also just hate, it's something that came up a bunch last year. Like, I can't remember. It's like Laviolette and Torts are both neck and neck to be the winningest U.S. born coach in NHL history. And I just hate the idea that it's because of the fact that there's no ties anymore. And so, like, you know, I think Tuukka Rask is past Jerry Cheevers now as the winningest goaltender in Bruins history. Carey Price tied Patrick Waugh, or past Jacques Plante, and I think coming up on Patrick Waugh for the winningest goalie in Canadiens history.
I know what it means.
And it's because there's no, but I just mean, like, I just hate it because now I think the numbers are skewed because they've kind of eliminated ties by way of the shootout and overtime the way it's structured right now, and so it's something we're hearing more and more of. And I just dislike. I think if you're going to put a asterisk next to Roger Maris's home run record, you've got to put one next to anybody deemed the winningest coach based on coaching in the last 10 years.
Asterisk next to his, yeah. I think that's out. I think that's bullshit.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's the same sort of thing to me. It's like
asterisk should be next to Barry Bonds's.
But they put an asterisk next to Maris.
I know.
And it's
great movie too.
Yeah. Oh, great movie. Billy Crystal's directorial debut. But they put an asterisk next to his name because Ruth did it in fewer games with a fewer game schedule. And I think if you're going to do that, then you've got to kind of do it for everything.
Well,
right?
The other thing they're eliminating, though, they're not. No one. I love Ruth. I love Ty Cobb. I'm reading a book on him now. Boys didn't play against.
What a son of a bitch that guy was.
Son of a bitch, and they both got so many records, but boys didn't play against black people. I mean, come on.
No, basically, you could say any record that was set during a segregated before Jackie Robinson broke in.
Yeah. It's tough for me to take it as serious.
Any record in any league that way could have an asterisk.
I know, but baseball, it lasted that long.
Yeah.
Hockey, they is a bad way to put it. Hockey, black people just weren't involved as much. I don't think there was as much of a segregation. Willie O'Ree might tell you different. That's going way back. Yeah. But I don't think. But in baseball, they said no.
Yeah,
there's a Negro league. There's a white league.
Did you
I don't
know by the way,
that happened in the other sports? I could be wrong.
Did you know, by the way, that just speaking on this, I think it was 1992 was when Major League Baseball took the rule off the books that said you weren't allowed to have a woman play. It was an actual rule in the Major League Baseball rule book until 1992, and then they eliminated the rule. So technically, since 1992, is the only window where it's been illegal for a woman to play in the Major Leagues.
What are you amazed at?
I don't know. It's just the fact that, like,
I find that totally acceptable.
No, I just think that it was just something that when I heard that it was a rule that was taken off the books,
I don't even think they needed to take it off. I'm all about it. But women can come up with a league.
Yeah. No, but
if I was going to play in a women's league, can you imagine that shit?
But the fact that it was a rule and that they've eliminated it silently 27 years ago, and there's been no movement in terms of a woman coming up through the ranks as a pitcher or whatever it might be.
Great. I don't think it's going to happen. I hope it does.
I'd love.
I hope it does.
Have you ever watched Pitch? By the way. Pitch was a show. It was on a couple years ago. It was a fucking phenomenal show about a woman who breaks into the Major League Baseball.
No, I didn't. But what I'd rather is see the women's league. I get it. Yeah. And Manon Rhéaume, I think having a daughter and even before that.
Yeah.
No, I think there's something to be said. And I think, and at the time, Haley Wickenheiser, I was in Cincinnati. We were going to bring her down to play. I wasn't even necessarily all about it then, especially in that era. Because I don't like taking it easy on people. And not saying she needed that. Holy shit, no. She's going to come to the team I played on. I'm just glad at the time I said I wish there was a women's pro league, and there ended up being that, and she ended up filling and did well. But baseball, rather than have one woman kind of break the mold, which I think will be real tough for a lot of reasons. You said pitcher. Yeah, it'd be tough. But all the more power to her, whoever does it first.
Well, pitcher was just the example I used because of the show that had been on.
I know, but I think there's enough, like a league of their own. I think there are enough baseball players. Some woman, some female, one of these days is going to take the bull by the horns, and they're going to start a league, and it's going to become acceptable. It might take 20 years, but it's going to be like the WNBA, and now we're at hockey, and it's not so weird. The other night, Penny Lane and I watched a professional women's soccer game. It was very entertaining. I'm not saying that fuck, women shouldn't play. I think they should be involved in everything. But jumping over, breaking the gender line for sports opens a can of worms. It's a slippery slope, right? And the same thing, if you want equality, the first thing I'll say, okay, let me play in the women's professional hockey league. Please? Thank you.
All I was just going to say was that I just found it interesting that they took the rule off the books that long ago. I just kind of found that to be a fun fact. Pop up in a trivia game I was playing.
I suppose. And to go back, but before we go further, because we're almost done, Jeremy, don't worry. Jeremy's he's just sitting back getting drunk. But I will say, I have the utmost. It's all about relativity.
Yeah,
and I think Babe Ruth was unbelievable. It's not his fault he couldn't play against black players. It's certainly not. And against everybody else, he was certainly unbelievable to the point of getting the Cy Young. And then Ruth would get 60 home runs, literally 60 twice. And number 2 one year was 14, and number 2 one year was 9. So he was that far ahead of everybody. Now, I just don't think that he would have gotten so many.
Yeah.
Or there wouldn't be a black player that would challenge him a little bit more. Like, I just think the spectrum wouldn't have been as wide had there been, and I don't think people could argue with me at that one, had the Negro League joined the White League at the time.
Yeah.
I feel almost bad saying those words, but that's the way it was. So I love Babe Ruth and Kai Cobb, and an argument to be made about the best of all time, but the argument lies within who they played against. And I think, like, Mickey Mantle is more impressive to me just a few years later because he played against black players, right? And he had the amazing...
It was literally a case of playing against the best in the world as opposed to a racial divide within the sport.
Totally.
Which is,
just like I got nothing against Maurice Richard, but he didn't play against Europeans.
Right.
So, I don't know, it's a different time. You could say, you know what, but he did play when there was only 6 teams in the league.
Yeah.
And can you imagine? But I would say now it's a way more worldwide game. It's not his fault.
I would guess, though, having said that, I would guess, though, Bobby Orr probably would have done better if the style of hockey that came up through the 80s and 90s versus what he played against in the 70s, his knees might have held out a little bit long. Well, I mean, you can talk.
Till he ran into Brian Marchment.
Tell that to Cam Neely, right? That Ulf Samuelson took his knees out. But
well, I love those, by the way, those speculative debates, because no one can ever be right or wrong.
Yeah.
All it does is bring the greatness of these players into the forefront.
And it's exactly that. It's just the debate. It's just kind of the exercise in, like, well, this is my favorite player, and this is why I think they would have done better.
Jeremy, you're right. Jeremy, who's your favorite player ever?
I'm looking at Wendell Clark up on the wall. It's like, I love Wendell, man.
That's our list of possible guests.
Yeah.
Wendell promised me, Jeremy, this was last year.
Yeah.
So this was only about 8 months ago. Wendell promised me over a beer in Fogo, at the Fogo Island, not the Fogo Island that you know about, the one across from the rink in Fogo.
Yeah.
You should see this place. Well, we had a few beers. It was a Wendell Clark and Friends. We toured Newfoonland.
I got to call a game for that.
Yeah,
and
you
mispronounce
did.
a bunch of people's names.
He called Nyland Nealon for the whole time.
Only for the first period until he skated over to me and corrected me from the ice.
Who's that? You see him chewing on his gum in there. He's going, who's that fucking guy? What the fuck is he saying? Tia, go over and fucking straighten him the fuck out. He was legit pissed off. Oh yeah, but it was great because
I still feel bad about it.
Like I said, I'm the alumni that doesn't get to go on like the Vegas trips or like the ones to Europe, because like all the great alumni, and I'm with Montreal, so like, you get in line. Like Gilbert, what's his name? Gilbert Dion barely gets to go on, and he got a Stanley Cup ring. Like, the legends that want to go, they go. But once in a while, I'll get the call to go in like Moncton or like Labrador or shit. Yeah. And anyway, Wendell had heard about it, and Al Iafredi being a buddy.
Yeah, Al's been on.
Yeah, Al's been on. Yes,
Al's been on.
And Al said, he said, I'll just tell Wendell whatever. He said, it's turning out, at first it was the Toronto Maple Leafs alumni, and then it was Wendell Clark and Toronto friends, and then it was just Wendell Clark and friends. So it's just anybody who played pro hockey can kind of go on this thing. But it's great because I
was just going to say, while you're telling the story, I will say something. As much as I mispronounced Chris Nyland's name, I do have Wendell Clark's name spelled wrong on the board.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. One L.
And now that's fixed.
Yeah. Actually, I didn't even notice.
I didn't notice it. I don't know why I had it spelled wrong, but I did.
Well, anyway. And this guy's a great coming in. When did he come into the league? About 86?
84 first overall, I believe.
Was
Yeah, first overall. That's right.
First overall. Not only that, guys, he was a defenseman. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
He was a defenseman. World Juniors happens. He goes up front.
85 first overall.
85.
Yeah.
He goes up front. And then he goes to the Leafs camp, and they literally asked him, he goes, fuck, I don't know. He goes, my jersey was hanging with the forward, so I played forward. I'm like, are you serious? You're first overall? And you're going, not only that, he finished that year, his first year in the NHL, 31 fights. Like, can you imagine if Connor McDavid or who went first overall last year? Or this year? Oh, my God.
Oh, Jack Hughes.
Hughes. Jack Hughes. So can you imagine if he rolls in?
31 fights.
31 fights. Like, will it ever happen? Will it ever? Like, Lucic is tough. Lucic gets in like 8. Like,
oh yeah.
Who in the fuck in the first round comes in now? Like, just so. Point being, he was a real idol of mine. I mean, the game was still like that in the mid '90s, and a bunch of us had fights up the fucking yin yang. Way too many that we knew how to deal with. But I loved Wendell, and I found it hard to explain that. So as we were sitting there having a meal, I think Al was kind of nudging him because, like, Al knew the story that I love Wendell Clark. Like, it's no secret. I'm like, look at the way I played. And, wasn't close to him. I'm not saying I was him, but it was his style. Yeah. Like I was trying to be Wendell Clark or Rick Tocchet or Cam Neely or one of them. Like,
sure.
And so then to meet him and to hear about his stories, but and a lot of one-word answers, not in a way of being pretentious or pompous, but in a way being like, of course, or not one word, but like short answers, like, but geez, Wendell, like, you were a defenseman? Yep. Yeah, I played D, if you can believe that. And then, well, why did you play forward then when you went to the Leafs? You wouldn't believe it, but my jersey was hanging on the forward side. He goes, in the World Juniors, I played a couple of games up front. So I'm going, you didn't question it? No. just talking to him, just like, life's life. Kind of that thing, and I really love him for that reason. Now he comes back for a lot of different reasons, and I did a golf tournament a couple of years ago in Muskoka he was at. But, talk about being almost the opposite of what I thought when you
pretty
meet
quiet
somebody.
guy.
Yeah.
Jeez, yeah, quiet and down to earth, and just never would be the person that you think laid out that guy in St. Louis behind the net or fought Marty McSorley or any of that shit. Can you remember that? Can you remember that hit?
That was amazing.
That was unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
Jeremy and I used to wait for Rock'em Sock'em to come out.
Yeah.
Right? And so one of us would get it at Christmas, and then we'd watch it, and that'd be the talk, I guess, of the dressing room for the next couple months. But
Oh, yeah.
a couple of those were Wendell Clark heavy.
Yeah, I remember, just pouring through old Rock'em Sock'ems and stuff, man. It was just like one of those, you go to the video store, you get your 7 rentals for 7 days for the cabin special, and just renting like 7 different Rock'em Sock'ems and just watching just all the hockey fights. It was great.
Yard sales everywhere.
I tell you, I don't know of a guy, pound for pound, he would have to be up there. He'd have to be up there. I mean, Domi, obviously.
Mm-hmm. But he could score, though, man. Like, he could.
I'm talking about an all-round kind of, like, fuck, Wendell. Wow. Like, just, time goes by, and we often forget. While we're in the midst of it, you say, well, no one will ever, I'm sure people said no one will ever forget Elvis.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I was thinking in the mid-'80s, like, no one's ever going to forget Gretzky, and that kind of happened. But no one really does. Like, Gretzky's still Gretzky.
Yeah.
But people are starting to forget Mario Lemieux, and I can't believe it. I'm like, he was as good. I'm telling you, to watch him, that's a big statement. I shouldn't say that. I don't like to compare greatness, though. I find him, if you were to arguably say the top 4 ever in the NHL, you'd say, like, Gretzky or, in my opinion, Howe, Lemieux. In what order, I don't really know. But they're all so different that I can compare them and never really speculate. I can't really compare. If I compare Cam Neely and Rick Tocchet, I'll say, well, Cam Neely's better, but Tockett's real good.
Yeah.
But I got a basis to go by. They both shoot right. They're both forwards. They were both wingers most of their career. They both dropped their gloves.
Yeah.
It's just that Neely's slightly better in those categories.
Well, Neely also scored an average of 46 for over the course of 6 years, and then
totally. So it's easy to make that argument.
He scored. He scored 50 in 50 or less twice, didn't he?
Something like that.
He's
crazy.
Yeah.
And career cut short. But of the other guys. Right, Gretzky, while being the biggest goal scorer of all time, if he only had assists, he'd still be the leading scorer of all time. Just think about that record. If he only had assists, if he never had one goal, he would still be the leading scorer of all time, and he just happens to have the most goals. Like, So that's insane. Then you got Lemieux,
who
came back in 92, 93 with cancer, who never, outside of the points, because he's close to, they were right around the same points per game. So I don't care. You give me the same points per game. And Lemieux took, actually, I was going to say a worse team and won the cup, but no, I won't. Pittsburgh were one of the best. They had fucking Francis and Jagger and a lot of coffee. And yeah, I'll take that back. They're not as high flying as the Oilers, but they were definitely great. One of the greatest teams ever. But anyway, Lemieux comes back 25 games in the year. He hasn't played a game yet, right? He hasn't played a game. Pat LaFontaine is way out in front, 50-odd points, leading the scoring. Lemieux, the last game of the year, overtakes whoever was second, I assume LaFontaine, and wins the National Hockey League scoring title. Then he decides to take multiple times, multiple years off. Says, I'm not going to play this year or next. Comes back, mid-90s, wins the scoring. And I hear from guys, Alan Nasruddin got traded from my team, and Freddie in Montreal over there, and I hear Lemieux couldn't do up his skates. And a lot of those practices, he didn't practice. And he'd put his skates up on a ledge kind of block-looking thing, and the trainer would come over and tie his skates. And he'd go out on the ice, take most practices off, and he'd still go out, and he'd still win the scoring championship. I mean, how good are you? And just look at his highlights. And I don't think at the beginning he had guys like Curry and Anderson and Tikkanen and that Gretzky had, but by the end of it, he certainly did. But, I just think he's as amazing. And then you get a guy like Bobby Orr that won the scoring title as a defenseman, right? Just think about that.
It's crazy.
It's just,
Right? Then you got Howe, who had 20 goals as a 51-year-old. Right? So it's hard for me, and they all, amongst all these highlights of their careers, they all had multiple scoring championships, and outside of Orr had one, but, they were all unbelievable for all those years. It's just that what identifies them as players is their magnificence, for lack of a better word, or their greatness. But I just find it hard to compare. Whereas I also find it hard with Ovechkin because it's a different era. But I mean, how good is he of a scorer? He's approaching these numbers of these guys. The game's a lot different, and he's consistent. And I know there's guys that come and go. God love Jonathan Chichu. Guys like that, right? That might get fire in a bottle, lightning in a bottle. 50 goals. Then they'll have a good year. 26. 35. 7. Gone.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of guys, whereas Ovechkin can just keep fucking doing it. He's like Mike Gartner. Mike Gartner had 15 years in a row, 30 goals. Remember that shit?
Yeah.
And he would just do it. If you had Gartner on your team, he was a bullet, but he never made these crazy moves. You'd barely see a highlight. Right? Look back, you'd think Denny Savard, who was great in his own, but you'd think Denny Savard's numbers are way better than Mike Gardner's, given the level of star he was at the time and everything. And I would spin around and all, but Gardner would go every year and get 30 goals for 15 years in a row, man. That's impossible to do. And we look back at Mike Gardner he's pretty good. I realize, how good he actually is, right? But that's that. I don't want to stick in the past, but I think there's going to be players from every era that are underappreciated. And one of them, we'd say his name every day, Tim Horton.
Yeah.
One of the best defensive defensemen of all time. I'm reading books about, I've read multiple, but even he gets mentioned a couple times in Dave Medini's book we just had on, Keon and Me.
Yeah.
And Horton was really respected, real defenseman, made the All-Star game. No one remembers it. They remember a double-double, right? So, I don't know. I just hope that these guys, especially if anybody's listening to this that actually hasn't, you've heard of Mario Lemieux, but you haven't watched the highlights, just type in Mario Lemieux top 10 or whatever you want to type in, because it's amazing. And not only that, he did it all with cancer. There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Is that the end, guys?
I think it might be, unless you have anything else.
Jeremy, do you have anything else to say? What's the meaning of life? Can you please tell us the meaning of life? Yeah. We have 5 minutes. Go.
Should we talk about Dinner for Levi? Yeah?
Actually, yes.
Yeah, let's do that.
That's good.
That's kind of a cool thing.
It's a great thing, yeah. Even though it just passed, but I think people can still, fuck, they can still send in stuff and donate and be aware for next year. Talk all about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Dinner for Levi is an event we do at the restaurant. 8 years ago, 9 years ago.
The restaurant being Merchant.
Yes, well, we had it at Raymond's too, but it's a fundraiser for the neonatal unit here in St. John's, Newfoundland, for our first son who was born. Actually, same day as Penny Lane.
That's it. I wasn't good. Same day as Penny Lane. I go into the hospital. Danielle's obviously in labor. We go in. Sarah's in the next room. And not only that, there's 3 rooms. The next room over is Dave White, the cigarette green sleeves there.
Okay.
So 3 of us had no idea we're in there. You know, I'm not joking here. I do want you to explain it, but just to put this in perspective.
Yeah.
You know, I had Penny Lane. It was and he had Levi, but Levi was premature.
Mm-hmm.
Same day. So like everybody's coming out with balloons and everything, and I don't think people realize the gravity of what might happen here. You talk about that, Jeremy.
Oh, well, I mean, you know, life is so fragile, and your first child, and unfortunately, he came at 25 weeks, and way too early, and we're in the neonatal unit for a month, and things didn't obviously work out. So it was, it was the toughest thing in my life for myself and Sarah. And
and it was not only that; it was your first.
Yeah, and
it's not like he had Hank or Iris to go back to, which I think things, Jeremy. Maybe I don't want to put words in your mouth, but having Hank and Iris after, did that put not a positive spin on it, but did that help you accept? And now that you got, like, Levi is very much alive from the point of view that every year there's this foundation, this dinner. Was it easier? Fuck, does it ever get easy? Was it easier with the advent of your 2 kids, and now that this is such a looked forward to annual event?
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously a lot of people, don't recover from that. A lot of people split up or whatever, but myself and Sarah stuck it out, and there was some really challenging times, and we're trying to open a restaurant in between that. But
God, Jesus, I forget sometimes the timing on that.
But it's a great event. We bring in chefs once a year from all around the world, really, to celebrate life and raise a bunch of money for the neonatal unit. And it's a wonderful time of year. Every September.
I'm glad you got that in.
Yeah, so it's it's special. It means a lot for the kids here in our community here in Newfoundland. And
if anybody is interested in donating, because the event is once a year, but you can always donate. Contact me, and I will.
Or Dinner for Levi too. There's a GoFundMe, Dinner for Levi.
Is there a GoFundMe?
Yeah, there is.
It's just open year round for people.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, or you can contact.
Hey, Dinner for Levi GoFundMe. Sorry, I wasn't being ignorant. I just figured. Honestly, I didn't want to give out your information, and everybody and their fucking dog got mine anyway. I get fucking 150, and it's too many. I got to tell people, if I don't know you, don't expect like 8,000 fucking word essays to get back to you with a message. I love y'all. I appreciate you, but like, hey T, who do you think's going to come out of the Metropolitan Division this year? Like, I just don't have that in me. I got too many messages to answer everything else. So and I don't want to get like that. I'm just saying, you wouldn't believe it if you looked at my inbox, Jeremy, but I often go on here and I give out my phone number and my email.
Yeah.
That's the only place I was going with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, to go, just look up Dinner for Levi, whatever you can possibly do. It's a great cause. Best case scenario, next September, find a way to get in that building and donate. Thanks for bringing it up, Jeremy. I should have brought that up. Anything else?
No worries. I really appreciate you guys having me on, and thank you.
But so you guys have been doing the event for this last one was what this
has been the 8th annual, and we're over $500,000 right now.
Yeah, I know. I've seen you guys. The Janeway is obviously such a great cause to donate to, and I've seen you guys pop up at the telethon and all that kind of thing with it. So it's great to see that event and that dinner come together. And I mean, it's a fun night out if you're in the area and able to take it in. It's definitely do, but it is such a great cause that just hit up the GoFundMe throughout the year if you're unable to.
Yep, I appreciate that, and
Okay, that's it. The last thing I got is, and thanks for bringing that up, Jeremy. Last thing I got, I'm available. I keep throwing this out there. Do public speeches or hockey lessons, whatever it might be. I don't promote it enough. And What else was I going to say, Mike? Oh, we're going to start doing some live shows.
Yeah, we're gonna do some more. We did one a couple weeks ago. It was a lot of fun, and we're gonna get out and
Yeah.
do a few more of those.
So if you're a bar owner or a restaurant or whatever, ideally, I'd love to go across Newfoundland first. And I know we got a lot of listeners from Newfoundland, so it doesn't take much.
I still want us to do that senior hockey tour thing.
I'd love
I think
to do
that'd be
that.
a lot of fun.
So I'll raise that up amongst my cohorts in senior hockey. But if anybody's listening and you're interested in any of that, give me a call. We got a online. A lot of people are asking me about our hats and shirts and things on the merch that they see. Just go to thirdman.
3mipodcast.com.
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah, I often forget to say that as well. And I think that's it for right now.
Jeremy, you just had your event. Anything else coming up that you want to mention while you're here?
No. Pretty,
Get out and get the book, The Wildness.
Yeah.
Wildness. Yeah, it's at the Raymond's at Merchant at
It's at Chapters, isn't it?
Your local bookstore.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Thank you.
So if you are trying to find Jeremy anywhere, it is you're mostly Instagram more so than Twitter, hey?
Yeah, I'm not on Twitter. It's just Jeremy Charles 77, I think it is, on Instagram.
All right. Terry Ryan can be found at
Terry Ryan 2020 Instagram, Terry Ryan 20 Twitter, and just Terry Ryan on Facebook.
I'm at Hickey, Mike on everything. We are at 3MI Podcast, but if you're listening, you probably knew that. And of course, as Terry said, you can find shopping and more and all kinds of stuff at 3mipodcast.com. But thanks for listening, and we'll be back next week to shout out you a little bit more about some hockey. Thanks for tuning in.
Why do you hang around with the worst crowd, the worst crowd?